Okay, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start our meeting with the roll call vote for our members.
Joseph Di Benedetto.
Present.
Wing Yu.
Present.
Emery Knavel. She's not here. Joseph Chow.
Present.
Sung Young Lee.
Present.
Rashmi Krishnaraj is absent. Michelle Frederick. Sana Tayeb.
Present.
Hi, Sana. And Eden Rubenstein.
Present.
And Mohammed Mukune.
Okay, so before we get started, I want to give a huge congratulations and welcome to our new student member, Mohammed Hunain, who is an outstanding individual. He's a representative from Flushing High School. He has been selected by the superintendent as our student representative. I am truly impressed by him. He is the president of the student council for Flushing High School and plays an active role in the community, and we welcome him, and we look forward to working with you, Mohammed. Thank you. Welcome to our meetings. So if this is the first time of anyone here joining our meeting, I give you a special welcome. Thank you for being with us today. We come together as a council once a month to meet with the superintendent and parents in our schools. I hope you all have our agenda, and this evening's agenda deals with school safety discussion. We have the pleasure of Mr. Mark Rampersad, Chief of Safety and Prevention Partnerships, as well as Officer Christian Rangel. You will hear the superintendent's report on the state of our schools. If you have any questions, suggestions, or concerns, be sure to stay until the very end. We will have time for public comment period, and we want to hear from you about what you have to say. If you want to speak, please sign up, put your name in the chat, or if you're here, put your name on the list, and we will entertain 2 minutes of public speaking at that time. I want to let everyone know that all of our seats will be up for election next year. We will provide more information in the next few months, but you should mark your calendars now for April 21st, 2023, when voting opens. But don't wait another day to open a New York City accounts at NICSA if you have not done so, because you will need it to vote. If you do not have an account, talk to your parent coordinator tomorrow. It is very important that you vote for people who will make up this council, because we make decisions that impact your child's education. I'd like to take another minute to introduce who I am. My name is Joseph Di Benedetto. I've been president and I'm serving on the council for quite a few years now. And I'm motivated because I like to represent the community and to see progress in our district. So I think it's the time for you to start thinking about running for CEC, and the elections will take place next year, and we look forward to meeting you. At this time, I'm going to ask the council members just to review the minutes from our November meeting for approval, and then we'll get started with our meeting. Sure. So while the council members review the minutes, I always enjoy the pleasure of the company of our elected officials. And we have with us this evening a representative from Council Member Sandra Ung's office, Shane Miller.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I won't take up a whole lot of your time. I just wanted to say hello, introduce myself. If you don't know me, I'm Shane Miller, Communications Director for Sandra Ung. The council members really enjoyed getting to visit all of the schools in the district, and if you're going to be at 189 next Friday, she'll be at the holiday party, so you can talk to her personally there. And I'll let you get back to the meeting, but Carly's going to be nice enough to put my information in the chat. So if there's anything that you think that our office can help you with, or any sort of city issue, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Shane. It's always a pleasure to see the representation at our CEC meeting. So thank you on behalf of the council for being here this evening. So I'm going to jump right into our school safety discussion, and then we'll move on with the, we need to approve the minutes. Do we have consensus to approve the minutes from November?
I approve.
Wendy motions to approve. I'll second the motion. Are there any objections to approve the minutes? Okay, so the minutes are hereby approved. So be it. So let's start our discussion about school safety. Once again, we have the pleasure of Mark Rampersad, Chief of Safety and Prevention, who's here this evening, and we have an officer on behalf of the safety agents, Officer Rangel. I just want to make sure that they are on as co-hosts.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start the discussion. I know that our district over the past few years has had issues with school safety. We've had an incident a few years back where we had a perpetrator in one of the schools, and we had well over, I want to say, 200 parents come to our meetings a few years back, and the call to lock the school doors. Myself, I've had a discussion with Chancellor Banks, and I know that the city is looking to lock the doors, but it's, it involves a lot more than what we think. And Mark Rampersad could elaborate on that, but I also heard on the news that there is a pilot program where one school in each borough will go through having their doors locked and to see how the schools react to that. So I want to just jump into the conversation with Mr. Rampersad, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, and absolutely. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right, so I think the head shakes as a yes. So thank you very much for allowing us to share this space with you this evening for this very important meeting, and particularly very important topic of safety and security in schools. As you know from your conversation with Chancellor Banks, the issue of safety and security remains paramount and on the forefront of our thinking here at the Department of Education. During prior administrations, the ask to lock the front door is one ask that was frowned upon for many different reasons, including the delay for the NYPD to be able to access the school in a timely fashion. Long gone those days. This is a chancellor who's listening attentively to the request of the parents to ensure add another layer of security to our schools, especially in a place where we have limited number of school safety agents, where almost every elementary school in our school system has a single agent in the building, regardless to the enrollment, right? And so that is a challenge that we can talk about later in the way by which parents can help us fight that fight. But right now, I want to really talk to you about the door locking system. Over the course of the summer, with our partners in the NYPD, OEM, Buildings Department, FDNY, NYPD School Safety Division, DIT, Department of Education, we got together and we worked with a vendor to create a door locking mechanism that we think meets the needs and expectations of all of the stakeholders. This door locking system is something like the ring system that some people have the luxury of having at their homes, with a little less features. The ring allows you to record, this does not. But this does allow the school safety agent and or staff member who's manning the desk at the time to see in real time the person who's ringing the doorbell to potentially access the building. It allows them to communicate directly by asking the person for identification and confirm their visit with whoever they're seeking to meet with at the time before allowing them access to the building. This is real access control. It allows the agent to fully control who has access to the building, and it doesn't allow an intruder, whether they're looking for shelter or looking to do harm, to access our buildings. After giving the thumbs up on this particular product, that will also allow the NYPD and FDNY to access our schools without delay. The system has a key punch system as well as a key fob system that will allow them immediate access to the building without having to wait for access from the school safety agent or whoever mans the desk at the moment. We have 5 schools around the city where we've identified and we did prototypes at those schools. We are working with principals and other staff to get feedback on how effective these devices have been. The Department of Education is assuming the cost for these devices. Once final approval from the city ONB, we are moving funding from one location to the other to ensure that we can fully assume the cost of this. And while many parents are opting for this device to be installed in our schools, you wouldn't believe how many parents are fighting against this system. They're saying the fortifying of our schools is not what they're looking to do. Our schools are accessible to the community. They are not prisons. We don't need to fortify them, and everything that you can say for the people who obviously don't deal with schools every day, and who obviously don't have to deal with the challenges of an intruder accessing a school building where we have 400 youngsters, right? And so we have gotten to a place where we are really serious about using technology to fortify our schools. So this is one of the systems that we're looking at right now. We have done, as I stated, the installation of prototypes in schools. They're currently being tested. And once we've identified or finalized the funding stream, we will start the installation throughout the city, starting with our elementary schools first and foremost. So from elementary schools, we'll graduate to our middle schools, and then eventually to our high schools. This is going to absolutely be a multi-year approach, but we have been giving the assurance that our elementary schools, being the priority, will be done the quickest out of all of the schools. We have to factor in a number of things, like our leased spaces. Our doors are not all the same in our schools. Our doors are made of glass in some schools, others metal, others wood. Like, there are all of these different components that we are dealing with. As we look at the installation, we're looking at every one of our schools are not single schools. They're shared schools. Some shared with charter schools, some shared in administrative buildings, some shared in office buildings. And when we counted the schools by DBN, these are all the things that we're working out to ensure that we hit all of our schools that require this aforementioned support. So the time frame by which we want to get this work done starting after the holidays. All of this depends on the transfer, the approval to transfer funds. We've identified the vendor to do the work, and we're ready to go on this end. As I stated, prototypes in place, and for Queens, currently PS28 is the prototype. They are using the device right now. And we were there just the other day, heard positive things from the principal as well, the parents. It is a device that you have to get used to, but it is without a doubt another mechanism to ensure safety and security in our schools.
So I don't want to interrupt you, but I know this is like a hot topic in our district because, it's great for PS28, but PS28 is not in our district. So we have some schools in our district where there's a call the parents are calling and they're asking, why can't we have that prototype pilot program in one of the schools in our district? And I understand that it's one per county per borough, but is there any chance that we can have one or two of the schools in our district jump into that prototype, or do we have to wait for everything to be finalized?
So the unfortunate part is we do have to wait for the product to be finalized. We are working out some of the kinks. What we're working on is scalability for the product to connect into our IPDVS system. That means our systems with cameras, so that not only are we viewing, but we're recording all interaction between visitors and the school safety agent. As it relates to this particular district, there's no rhyme or reason why it wasn't chosen. The school that got chosen happened to get lucky, and I say this loosely. They had an intruder in the building who had just gotten released from a mental institution and was on medication and entered into the school space. You probably heard about this on the news, where the principal and the agent wrestled the guy to the ground, so forth and so on. And it was timely. We were looking for a school. School got chosen. Every district is asking for to have the prototype in their respective districts. We get it. We understand. I even toyed around with the idea of having one of these in every district, just so that folks can see. But the installation, the cost, all of those things couldn't be factored out yet. I will not commit 110% to District 25 getting one of the prototypes, but I will say that I will put it on the forefront of my conversation next week with the team as we meet on a regular basis. This will give the parents an opportunity to see the device in action and give some input on the device as a whole. So I will put 25 on the forefront of the conversation for next week, and I will push to have at least one school, and we can take that recommendation from the superintendent who's speaking to the parents around which school that would be. But I can assure you that the conversation will not stop there. And so while we are testing this product and we're looking to move this product along, not having every school on a time frame by which everyone thinks should happen, one school is not going to be the answer for anyone, right? So I know that we'll never satisfy everyone in that respect, and I am willing to push this so that at least there is one in the district that you can refer to.
Understood. So I have some people that want to speak and have questions. I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I have two students here that have been waiting to ask some questions or make comments. I'm going to start with Shami Merdoy.
Hi. Hi, I'm from school PS20Q, and I'm here to talk about why we need security guards in our school. We have 10 exits around the entire building, but we only have one security guard. If people are trying to break in from different sides of the school, how is one security guard going to go in two different directions? So for example, we have exit that's near on this side, and there's another exit on the opposite side. What if people are trying to get in from both sides? What's the security guard gonna do? School aids aren't, and even if school aids are on that side that the exit is on, the school aids aren't certified to protect us from those bad people. We should have at least more than one security guard in at least one side of the building. On each side of the building, there should be one security guard. During recess, we don't have a schoolyard. I feel very unsafe in the schoolyard because we don't have an actual schoolyard. We go into the public park, and it's the basketball court where most of the teenagers and adults play basketball there. And I think we would feel more safe if there was a security guard near us during those times when we're outside in the basketball court. And from one of my experiences during recess, I saw a drunk man stumbling around with a beer in his hand. He smashed it on the floor, and he started banging on the chain fence. With only one security guard, she couldn't leave the front desk, and because that would put the school in danger. So because of that, a school aide or a teacher had to back us up and had to tell them to leave until Miss Tiny came. That situation got handled, thank God. But if there's only one person, it's one person. It doesn't have 4 hands, 4 legs, and can't divide into 2 people. She or he can't be at 2 places at once. So when the security guard takes lunch, we have one security guard, right? That security guard needs to have lunch too. So whenever they take lunch, normally a school aid's in their position, but they're not certified to protect us like the security guard is. So if there's more than one security guard, they can switch out positions whenever one of them have to go to lunch or take a break. And when security guards aren't there, I think we would feel more safe if there's more than one security guard. Because if security guards aren't really there, it's not really safe if you're outside or in a public area. And there's so many students that you could be putting in risk in Flushing, I've noticed that the rates of the danger has been going more higher and higher during these years. So I think more security guards would be a really good idea. Thank you.
Shamina, what school are you from? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
What school?
I'm from PS20Q, John Bond Elementary.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments and your concern. Yes, I mean, maybe we can speak to Officer Rangel about that, because I, as CEC president, have also been getting a lot of calls about security officers being pulled from the school without any notice to the principals, and there are no security officers in the school. I'm gonna let Mohammed speak also about his concern. He's coming in from high school, and I went to one of the legislative breakfasts for Flushing High School, and they were very concerned about their safety with the safety agents. But before I go to that, I want to let Michael Benson speak. And thank you, Shamina. Appreciate it. Good job.
Hi, my name is
Michael, hi,
Michael Mensa.
Michael.
Hi. So a lot of things that Shamia spoke about were also good reasons why we need cameras. We have a building with a lot of exits, and cameras will help our security agent monitor the building, who's coming and who's going. If something's happening, the security guard can see where the problem's coming from, so she can go in there and keep us safe. If there's something happening, the security guard can see where the problem is happening, so she can go keep us there safe. So let's say somebody's doing something bad. The cameras will help us look back at the footage to get evidence on who did it. So you cannot say you didn't do it. If a student is missing, the security cameras can help us find where they are in the building, or if they left, if it would help us see which way they went. If we have a really big school, and if an intruder gets in and the police need to find him, how will the police find him without cameras? Jimmy, how that's your part?
Michael, I didn't hear your last comment.
Please help us keep our building safe. Please help us keep our school safe, community safe. Thank you.
We really love school, and our school, and we want to make sure that all students are safe. Not just students in our building this year, but also the students of the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And you're from also PS20?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm from PS20
It
Jump
seems
Up.
to be a concern in Flushing. I'm gonna just, I know Mr. Rappers may not concern, like, but it's probably something that we need to speak up to Officer Miguel about, but, I'm gonna let our student rep also speak about the concerns of the students, because I think we start with the kids and then we go to the parents, right? So, Mohammed.
So if we may, I mean, I heard students speak so eloquently about their concerns regarding their school, right? And I know that we have another representative who wants to sort of share the concerns as well. But I think that, our presence here, we should respond to these young people, right? Because we're all here at the service of young people, and they share their concerns, and we should sort of talk through some of the things that they share, right? One is single safety agent at an elementary school. Other is not feeling safe on the playground because there is no safety agent out there. Another is cameras at the school, and they gave all viable reasons why the schools should have cameras, right? And they share the overall concern about school aides, who they feel are not really trained to do the work that the school safety agents do, right? So Rangel, if you want, you can take the safety agent concern or question, and then I can talk about the rest of the concerns shared.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So I just want to touch base on the single agent sites. So I'm a big supporter of having a minimum of 2 agents at every elementary school at the very least. The only thing is right now it's not feasible, because just in Queens North alone, I'm short about 114 to 115 agents in my borough. So it makes it kind of difficult to staff every single school adequately right now, with the numbers that we would like to see. But I know that the classes are going in, they're going in back to back. They're starting to backfill some of the high attrition rates. So we are going to be seeing agents every 4 months, a new batch coming out to kind of fill those voids. A few years back, Queens North was one of the first boroughs to actually put 2 agents in every elementary school. So it's something that was done in the past when the numbers were a lot higher. But a lot of things happened with COVID and everything where people just started resigning and retiring through all the difficulties. But now that wave has subsided, now we're starting to see our numbers come back up slowly. So you will see changes in the future as far as it being single man sites to now multi-person sites, right? The other concern was pulling agents out of buildings. One of the biggest things for us is trying to decide where to pull from so that every single school has at least one agent in the building. I don't want to leave any school uncovered, whether it's a school with 10 pre-K students or a school with 5,000 high school students. Every school deserves to have a school safety agent. Unfortunately, attendance plays a huge factor mixed in with our low numbers of agents in the borough. So we are working on it. So you'll see schools such as Flushing High School, Francis Lewis. You'll see these bigger schools that have only 5 agents go down to 4 or 3 people at a day or during the day. But again, that's to cover our single person sites because again, we can't leave our youngest vulnerable to anything as well, right? We have to make sure we give them somebody that's going to be there in case there's an emergency. They'll have somebody to go to. One of the biggest things that the department has done recently was they've given every school safety officer access to dispatcher from 911, where there's no need for anyone to call 911 and go through a middleman to reach emergency services, right? Every agent has a direct line to EMS, the fire department, the local precinct, ESU, whoever needs to respond. They have instant access without having to dial 911, speaking to an operator, and then getting the additional emergency services routed to them, right? So that's a huge thing that a lot of people still don't realize that the agents have access to right now, which was done because of the shortage, right? We're cutting response time for any type of emergency or medical service that's needed in a building. And again, I share your concern about intruders on the side doors and all that stuff, which is why all of us as adults, we do have a responsibility that if we see a door unlocked, we notify the agent or we lock it ourselves. If an alarm goes off, we respond to it. I'm in charge of 350 people. There's 204 schools that I have to visit. Every school I go to, even at my level, if I hear an alarm, I run to the alarm and I see what's going on, right? So that's just something that we all do as adults, as part of the school community. So again, we're trying to work on getting our numbers up. We have our radio communications have been upgraded. We have direct communication with precincts in the fire department. We're able to get help faster if needed, right? With the playgrounds and things like that, that's something that we work on with the parks department as well. So if there is a condition at a playground, I myself will call the parks department CO and we'll coordinate where they can come out and make sure that there's nothing going on prior to the school using that playground, whether it be for gym or during their dismissals and things of that nature. And they've always come out to help us. They'll send a PEP officer over and they'll help us out with that if we're not able to cover it for that time.
Thank you, Officer Miguel. So with all due respect and everything, I'm glad that you're here. And I've been on the council for quite a few years and I've heard the same discussion 3-4 years ago. But I think that what the community is concerned about, number one, is the students don't feel safe. And number two, the parents in this community feel that we do not really have, it's a pretty safe community, but it's not right that they should not feel safe with their children because you don't know where a perpetrator can go. It doesn't have to be in a bad neighborhood. And I think that the people in this community feel that they're getting the short end of the stick because they're not getting the representation they should be having. And they've heard this discussion in the past. And I'm gonna just let Mohammed say something because Mohammed, he comes from Flushing High School and a lot of the kids from Flushing High School that I spoke to, they don't feel safe in their own school. So I wanna just have Mohammed say 2 things about that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to start off by saying this very famous proverb from Africa. It takes a village to raise a child. If there's a bad influence, that child might get attracted to it. However, the committee could prevent it by providing a safe and healthy environment School
Hello?
safety is a very complex problem that needs to be solved. It's not only about the students, but the community in general. As a student, I am very passionate about the school community, and I see this problem as alarming. So like we were discussing about school safety, our campus, Flushing campus, 3 schools, Veritas Academy, QHSLS, and Flushing High School. We have over 2,600 students with 30 exits. To cover all that, we only have around 3 to 4 agents. And it's not enough. We need at least 11 or 12. One level 3 commander and rest level 1's SSAs. So there are a lot of concerns from the students that they don't feel safe. But here's an interesting thing. Based on the students I spoke to who have background of bringing defense weapons to school, for example, pepper spray. According to them, they don't bring it to school to feel safe inside the 4 walls of school. They bring it so they can commute safely through their communities, subways and places like that. So I believe we need to protect those places too, especially in the winter season. It gets late and students have to commute safely to their home. So I request that there should be more security outside the school as well. And definitely there's a no-brainer involved that we need more school safety agents inside those 4 walls as well. And yeah, thank you.
So the point I wanted to make was, this is a gentleman from Flushing High School. They have 6 agents in how many agents in your school? 3 or 4. But there are schools in our district at the elementary level that sometimes don't even have 1 agent, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Because if they pull them from the school, then they're left with a school aide running the front door. And that's why there's a huge call in this community to lock the doors, because the aide's not equipped to know how to deal with a situation where somebody comes in. And we don't want to wait for something tragic to happen in our district. We know what's in the news all the time. So we just really want to be proactive on that. So that's the state. Eden raised her hand, so I'm gonna let Eden, she's on our council, she's gonna make a comment or ask a question.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, just going along that same lines. I know for the beginning of the year, the school aide at the school where my children attend, where we also do only have the 1 agent, it is an elementary school. The aide happened to be out sick, and it was not till about 11 o'clock in the morning where we were actually able to get an agent into the building. And because of that, there was literally nobody manning the door, and the door is not locked at the front door. So the parent coordinator basically sat at the front desk, and she's not trained on how to handle things. So in that situation, it took till almost 11, 12 o'clock just to get somebody over there to be the representative for the day in place of our regular safety agent. And these kids don't have somebody to really make sure they're safe at that point. Because yes, the parent coordinator is going to try her best, but in a situation of some kind of unsafe situation, there's nobody there to actually do the right thing that's trained to do the right thing. So this is why it's so important that we have at least that 1 person or that backup person there at all times.
Thank you, Eden. I don't know if Mr. Rapistoy, did you want to say something, or Officer Miguel?
Yeah. So I wanted to clarify a few things. So when there's no agent in the building, we've had communication with the borough safety director as well as the principals in the districts, in all districts actually. If they are notified or they know that an agent is not there at the start of their tour, so if it's 7 o'clock or 7:30, they should be calling our office immediately, because sometimes it takes a couple of hours for us to be notified that the agent is out, because our attendance has been pretty rough lately with the amount of people calling out. When it's a vacation day, we usually backfill that the day before. We try not to leave those stones unturned. So we will never pull an agent from a building if it's a single person site. That will never, ever happen. If there's not an agent there, that 9 times out of 10, they called out sick. I even stopped them from sending them to training at another location from single person sites. What I'm doing now is if they require training, I make them hold off their training until there's a break from school so it doesn't impact the school, right? So like just for example, this next recess coming, I held off on all training and I'm being delayed on it just so that I can make sure we don't pull anybody out of these buildings, right? So again, we've spoken about it, myself, the borough safety director, and most of the principals. If anyone in the school knows that there's not an agent in a building, they should be calling my office right away and notifying us just in case it was some kind of oversight or the agent didn't call us. We do have certain procedures in place when agents don't call. We just make sure that they're okay. God forbid something happens to them. We just want to make sure that they're safe, right? So
But
that's
what
just something.
happens if the school has two agents and they pull one? It's not a concern. It's just, you want to make sure there's at least one? Or is
So
it always going to be that you're going to fill in the vacancy?
Right. There has to be at least one agent in every single building. That's the very minimum. We can't leave any school uncovered. What we're trying to do is keep 2 in the junior high schools and at least 3 in the high schools, right? But the way things have been lately, I know Flushing the other day had, I think, 2 people, and we had to scrounge and ask for support from another division within our division, which they sent us 2 people that they had to pull away from another unit. So we do have people helping us out. As a matter of fact, Mark helped us out that day, I believe. He made a couple phone calls for us. Everyone is short, but everyone's trying their best to get help where it's needed. And like I said, we will never pull from a one-person site. That would be something that we will never, ever do. I can promise you that. If the person's not there, they either called out or there was some type of emergency.
So who takes the call? Is it the principal of the school that's supposed to call to make sure?
If the principal is the first to know, or the assistant principal, or somebody in the administrative team, yeah, they would be able to make the phone call. I mean, we've had payroll secretaries make the phone call because they were the first in the building and they noticed, oh, agent such and such wasn't there, so they, we get a head start on it. So it could be really anybody, as long as we're notified. I could tell you this: at least 85% of the absences we know about before 7 o'clock. The problem is we get so many phone calls that the agents either stop trying because they've just been on the phone for an hour or two trying to get through to us, or there's a serious emergency on their end that they just can't get to a phone, or they had a family situation. So those are the ones that we really worry about, that 15% that we don't know about until 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. I actually just wanted to say one thing in response to Eden's statement. So I hear your concern around school safety, but I think it's also important to know, just in terms of the years that I've been in the DOE, and I'm so glad that Mr. Ramberson is here, but he has really been, for me, a leader in training for all staff around school safety, and what to do in times of emergency. So I remember as a teacher many years ago and an assistant principal when these trainings were not in place. And I know, Eden, what you're saying is not, is in a different realm, but I do want the community to know that Mark has been at the forefront of making sure that all schools, principals, teachers, school aides, parent coordinators are working together as a community to make sure that they're trained around intruders, BRT trainings, any type of emergency. So I want to thank Mark for that. Every time I see him, I'm just so appreciative of how we are so much more prepared as a city and in our schools because of the work that you've done. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Superintendent. So I think that the parents really need to understand it's not as simple as just locking the door. It doesn't work that way. But parents think, look, it's very easy to lock the doors. Just if there's no security there, lock the doors. That whoever wants to come in is their problem. But I don't think it's that simple, correct, Mr. Matarafasad? And I don't know if it could legally be done also, correct?
He's muted.
You're muted.
You're 100% correct. It's not as simple as just locking the front door. There has to be a simple and quick mechanism in place to allow access to our young people who may in fact be in crisis, right? So we have this periodic situation that transpires where a van is following a student trying to entice them to get into a vehicle. Students, by nature of seeing our schools as safe havens, they run back to the school. Right? The door locking system allows the school safety agent or whoever's manning the desk to open the door from the desk. Traveling to the front desk to the front door is all time lost, right? And when you walk away from the desk, like let's say we're in a hard lockdown situation and we're locking all the doors, not having a mechanism in place requires the FDNY and NYPD to manually take the door off the hinges before they can provide aid. All of those are lost moments. So respectfully, we ask to give us the time that we need to get these door locking systems in place that will come with clear training for all of our stakeholders in schools. And I appreciate more than anything what the young man started with, right? And that is, it takes a village. Our village is not absent our parents. Our village is not absent our community partners, our merchants, our clergy, and so forth. It takes all of our village, every member of our village, to keep our schools safe. A majority of the weapons that are found in our schools are as a result of our young people seeing something and saying something. And that's as a result of the nurturing environment that we've created, where young people feel like adults are going to respond to their cries for help. Or just information sharing. Someone's going to respond to that, right? So no, it's not as simple as locking the front door of the school, or we would have done that already, right? Our partners in FDNY and NYPD are saying locked doors are a delay, right? A delay for the NYPD to get in if we have a very serious crisis situation that requires their support. That's a delay for them to get in the building. We hear you loud and clear about the single school safety agent. And I know that there is some work that the community can do, right? Our elected officials, outreach to our elected officials around the need for school safety agents. One of the things that Rangel didn't share, and Rangel, I would appreciate if you can talk a little bit more about this, is they can't get people to take the job. The prevailing wage is horrible. The incoming salary for a school safety agent is $34,000. You can make $34,000 at entry level at Starbucks. And you don't have to deal with, depending on what school you are, you don't have to deal with the unruliness, right, of the external incidents that occur outside. This young man just shared. Young people feel safe in the building. They don't feel safe as they transition to and from, and some of that makes its way into the school. So the possession of some of the items that he talked about, we've spoken to parents directly, and parents said, yes, I gave my daughter pepper spray. Yes, I gave my son pepper spray to keep himself safe as they travel throughout the city. They're okay once they're in the school, but I'm concerned about the traveling to and from, right? And no, we're not advocating for any young person to carry a weapon. No, we're not advocating that. We're not making excuses for why they need to carry a weapon, but we are saying that every member of our community needs to get involved in safety. It's really easy to point the fingers at the Department of Education or the police department and say, we need more agents. Well, we agree. That's why we're here. We agree with you 110%. We need more school safety agents. And Commanding Officer Rangel and I fight about this every single day. And the question that he asks me every time a principal calls me and says, we need an agent at our school, Mark, because we had 2 and we're down to 1. And I pick up the phone and I call Rangel and he opens up the chart and he says, Mark, where do you want me to take them from? I'll take them from the local high school. I'll take them from the superintendent's office. I'll take them from wherever you want me to take them from. Just tell me where you're going to take them from, because I now have to explain to that school why they went from 3 agents to 2 agents, right? And this is disheartening for each and every one of us to have these kinds of conversations, but we're having a real conversation around our shortcoming in this respective area, right? And it's one that we can't shy away from or walk away from, but it's a real issue. And every day that I have 1 agent in a elementary school, I am concerned. I am concerned. We are concerned, and we're fighting about this battle at every level. The chancellor's concerned, right? But last thing I'll say, I promise you, Mr. President, and depending on who you ask, there's a whole bunch of parents who stand on the other side of this conversation. They stand on the other side of the conversation that we don't need more school safety agents. We need less school safety agents in the school. We need less police in the school is what they would say, right? But these are not the parents or the advocates who work in our schools. And they don't get to hear from this articulate young man or the young man, the young lady who just spoke about we need agents to feel secure in our schools. And while agents are our community partners, they are at the front line. The responsibility of feeling safe in our schools is all of our collective responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. So look, I could assure you those calls that we have enough agents is not coming from this community. This community does not want to hear about short staffing. They don't want to hear about fight. They're like more concerned about the safety of their child. They say we're putting our kids in these schools. We want to make sure our kids are safe. They'll take the law in their own hands. I've seen it. I mean, I've had my kids go to a school where there was a homeless person that was harassing students, and the community drove this homeless person away because nobody from school safety or NYPD was there to do anything about it, and the community was outraged. So I just wanted to address the concerns of these poor kids from PS 20. I mean, these are schools that are over 1,000 students. I know you're working on getting the doors locked, but is there any way we can work on maybe getting cameras at this school in the interim, or, is that a quicker solution? I don't know. I mean, I'm asking you, is there something that we can do to make these kids feel more secure? Maybe cameras.
Yep, cameras is definitely another tool to fortify our schools in terms of additional safety measures. But cameras are only as good as the people who are monitoring them. Right? I'll say that again and again. Only as good as the people who are monitoring, which means that cameras are an extra 60, 80, 100, depending on the size of the schools, pair of eyes. They require someone looking at the cameras to monitor all activity at any given time, and they're able to deploy the resources to those areas. I will look to see where PS 20 is on the list for the installation of cameras. Our goal is to get every single one of our schools cameras. We do have to ask for additional funding in the upcoming capital in order to be financially secure to have cameras in every single one of our schools. And that is our goal. So I'm 110% right there with you and with the students. I will confirm for tomorrow, and make contact with the superintendent as it relates to PS 20 and where they are on the list, as well as the other schools in this respective district, so that the superintendent will be able to say 80%, 20%, 10% of our schools already have cameras, another 10% are in the pipeline for the next extension program, and then so on and so forth, right? This way we can have, really level set on the conversation around the things that the Department of Education is doing to ensure safety in our schools. And that's not only relied on, more agents. These are some of the systems we have in place.
Much appreciated, Mr. Representative. Sana, who's also on the council, wanted to speak.
Hi, thank you, Joe. I think Michael had a question as well. I can wait.
Michael, do you have a question? Go ahead.
So who's going to be watching the cameras 24/7?
That's a great question.
So,
That's why Mr. Representative's concerned, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. Listen, Michael asked a profound question. We got to give him a profound answer, right? And so the fact of the matter, Michael, is this is the way by which it works. When cameras are installed in schools, they're installed in schools and they have various monitoring stations. The principal has a monitoring station, a dean or an AP has a monitoring station, and the school safety agent has a monitoring station. Sometimes they identify school aides and others who are monitoring the cameras or monitoring the monitors, right? And they're reporting, suspicious activity. There's a group of 5 students hanging around on a stairwell. They shouldn't be there. Can someone go and move them, right? There's a door that is open, which shouldn't be open. The door alarms are going off, but nobody's responded. You deploy the resources there. So to answer your question, Michael, various school staff monitor the cameras, not only the school safety agent, and all of those folks have the ability to deploy the resources of the school staff to those doors. And as it relates to the 24-hour question that you have, our cameras record the entire time that there's student movement in the building. When they are not, when there's nobody in the building, the recording system is on. So if somebody breaks into the school, it records that activity as soon as it detects any movement. So the cameras have sensors in them.
So the cameras are great, you know, in terms of investigation, or if the perpetrator would know that he or she's being, you know, filmed, it could prevent, but it's not as imminent as, you know, what I think parents are going to say, locking the doors. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going back to that topic because that's something that I keep hearing. But I wanted to like Sana comment or question.
Thanks so much, Joe. Great question, Michael. That was really nice. That was a very insightful question. Hi, Mr. Ambersad. So going back to your point, and that was an excellent point that I completely agree with, that our tools and technology are only as good as the people manning them or monitoring them, right? So going to that, and as somebody who has some experience with ring-like systems, my question would be, do we get to hear more about the vendor who's developing? I know you said they're currently in the prototyping stage, but do we get to learn more about the vendor that's behind this technology? Do we get to know more about their expertise, where they're coming from, the background, if they've developed such technology or even implemented that before in some other institutions?
So we can absolutely do that, right? So many of these vendors, we always select vendors that have a history of doing this work. The good thing about this vendor is they're customizing this tool, right? Because we challenge them, right? Many of the questions that we asked are questions that some of their previous installments didn't require. For instance, we talked about our FDNY and NYPD having 24-hour access to our schools without delay. Many of the school systems that have these in the outer districts, they didn't concern themselves with that because they gave their police officers and others keys. But they're also a school system of 10 schools, right? We're a school system of 1,400 physical plants, 1,800 schools, right? So we have a different problem than they have and a different need. So we chose a vendor that has history and background on this. The vendor who has installed the prototypes is not necessarily the vendor who's going to be doing the scaled work. And that's why they're prototypes, and that's why we're trying them out to make sure that they meet all of our scopes of work. And when we do, we'll be transparent about, you know, sharing that background.
Great, thank you so much. And I just had one more question to add
Sure.
to that. For the vendors that are going to be actually implementing those, is there a safety protocol in place for, let's say, when a security breach, God forbid, does happen? Is there like a scenario in place when that does happen? Is that communicated with, let's say, the school or the community? How is that handled? If there's a digital breach or a physical breach?
If there's a physical breach in a school, how is the communication of the breach communicated to school as a whole? Are we talking about during the academic school day? Are we talking about, when are we talking about?
Right, like how is that communicated in real time, let's say, to the parent community or the school community?
Oh, yeah, lovely question. Thank you for that. Right, and I like when you challenge me. Every time I talk to you, you challenge me, but I appreciate it. So we have a system called Gamma, and I'm surprised that you haven't heard about Gamma, which is the great attendance messaging application, right? So all of our schools are being directed to ensure that they're starting to use the Gamma system. It's going to be slow going, but it is a system that allows the principal in real time to provide parents with information as it relates to any GRP action that must be activated. GRP meaning the General Response Protocol. So if we have to do a lockdown, a shelter-in, evacuation, or a hold, our principals will send information out to parents regarding any such action that's activated in real time. Every parent that is signed up for NICSA will get real-time information. So one of the things that we would ask as a CEC, that we continue to push for parents to sign up for NICSA so that they can get real-time information. They get the messaging at a text message, a email, or either voice, right? And this is real time. There was police activity outside of the school. As a result, we went into a brief shelter in. The police have addressed the issue. We're now open for business or what have you. I'm just giving you a scenario, right? If the school is in a lockdown, the school is currently in a hard lockdown, the NYPD is in the building conducting an investigation, please do not come to the school, right? They have it under control, things are stabilizing. Whatever the case may be, real-time information, right? We don't want parents to go to this site where it may be dangerous, right? Yes, my child is in the school. The schools are trained to take the appropriate measures until first responders arrive on the scene. Then and only then will they send out a final message that says NYPD has, apprehended the bad guy. NYPD, found the item and we're safe to resume, whatever. But you should start to receive those real-time notifications ASAP. We made them available to the schools when we opened the school doors this year. Right? There were some kinks because it's a new application. Our schools are used to using a third-party application and relying on information like Citizens app, which was incorrect most of the time. If a car backfires outside, they're running in to say, there's shots fired in the neighborhood, we need to go into a shelter in, right? Our schools are sheltering on a constant basis because of those kinds of, inaccurate information, and we understand. Fireworks outside and all of these different things sound like gunshots, not necessarily gunshots, but we, as a precautionary measure, our schools are trained to go reaction. So Gamma is the way by which we provide real-time information. Sorry to be long-winded.
Yeah, Mr. Representative, I just want to add to that. Some of you have received, we've been pushing out Gamma both at the school level and at the district level. Thank goodness we haven't had to do it for emergency purposes necessarily, but we have run some messages. So my listening and learning tours, all of that was done through Gamma. So each individual school received notification and permission to start. That was all done through Gamma. So we are ready if there are any types of emergency. And yes, that's another part of the training of Mr. Ramsden's team, just around making sure that if something happens at the school, the directive is to all of our principals that they're pushing out notifications to families through Gamma.
So, Mr. Ramprasad, two questions that I'm getting from the community as you speak. So, number one is, what is the timeline, right, in terms of this plan to have all the schools, get the doors locked? What's the timeline? And number two, what's the cost? Like, what are we looking at per school?
So the per school cost, I can give you separate and apart. We have a whole spreadsheet that kind of breaks down it's going to differ from school to school because some of our schools have the camera system in and we're integrating into our camera system and some of our schools are standalone, right? So I can give those numbers to the superintendent with the chair up. And the time frame by which we would have this completed really depends on the approval for the funding, right? So can't say, it's going to take us 6 months to do every school, which is an aggressive timeline, right? We can only really determine on that timeline by the the time frame by which the money is available. And then we're finalizing the assessment on how many schools actually require this system. Right? Because as I shared, there's a number of schools that will not require, and that's the schools in leased spaces where the lease is less than 5 years, right? And then we have some of our schools that are co-located in office office buildings or businesses that are not owned by the DOE. So if we're on a third floor, we don't require that, right? So we're doing all of that work now. And so that will give us a better sense of time frame once we have a hard stand on how many schools we're actually talking about.
So that's not yet, in other words, you're still gathering the information about that, correct?
Yeah, well, there are people other than,
Can we?
there are people other than me who are working on that's their responsibility in terms of numbers, the amount of feet from each door, those things. My job was to identify the need and say to the school system, here is what we need. Here are the people who need to be at the table when we start to design what this is. We had to make sure that our first responders would give us the thumbs up on the product before we could even start to have a conversation about prototypes. And they did that work, right? So as it relates to the dimes and nickels of this, there are other folks in my office that are better suited to answer that question.
So you wouldn't be able to tell us an approximate cost of what it would cost to bring the system to an average school?
I wouldn't be comfortable guesstimating, right? Because each of our schools is going to be different. Remember, we're still doing piping going from the front door to the room where the MDR room, I believe that's called, right? For our schools that have cameras. That integration requires a different amount than just putting the system on the front door and on the back door, right? So
we're talking thousands or millions?
Oh, no, for one school? No, it's thousands per school. It's not millions per school, right? This whole process is costing a number of millions to do, right? I'm just not comfortable sharing out a number that may be different later on.
Understood, thank you. I think there's another parent in the chat that wanted to have a question. Oh, is that Michael? Hi, Michael.
So my question in like my school, like the doors, like they're like really kind of old. No offense to that, but there needs to be security doors because if somebody's in the school, let's say somebody's in the school, and it'll be easier for them to break down the door if the door's like it's not like strong. It has to be a security door so they can't break into it.
Yeah,
So,
Michael,
go ahead.
Michael, I can assure you that all of your doors in your school are up to code and up to standard. You sound like you have you're a leader in your school. Are you like a student president? Are you on the school's leadership? What's your role in the school?
Like I'm a part of like the vice president team.
Yeah. See how I knew that, right? So I think that what you should do, Michael, is you should exercise your voice in your school, and when you talk to your principal and the president and others meet with the principal. I think that one of the things you should do is ask to meet with the school custodian, and you can share some of the physical concerns, right? The facilities concerns, and you could ask your custodian as many questions around the doors, the condition of the school. All of those things are important questions for you to ask on behalf of the student body, right? And he'll tell you all about the doors having to meet FD&Y and building department code. All right, well, we would be in violation if they didn't. So I just want to reassure you that your school doors are safe. And you're 100% correct. There's no door in the system that cannot be penetrated, right? So if a bad guy has a large hammer or runs into the building with a truck, those are things that are real. They are possible. But I do want you to know that your doors are safe in your school and nobody can just open your door and walk in the door. Right. And I also want you to check tomorrow to make sure that all of your doors have door alarms on them. The door alarms that when you push. All right. When you talk to the principal, they're going to tell you that there are door alarms on every one of those doors. So when you push the door open, an alarm should sound, and that should remind you that that door should not be open. Somebody should respond to that door to make sure that nobody penetrates that door from the inside going out or otherwise.
Hi, Mark. I'm his principal. I can assure you we have an alarm on every door.
I want you to know every time I go into the building also, Shamia and Michael meet with me. And they've also asked to meet with their local precinct, food services. They are amazing leaders at the school. I cannot tell you, all of the principals that are on here tonight, Shamia and Michael, are talking about and just beaming about how amazing you guys have been. So I really, truly thank you for being on here. But I know next time I'm there, you'll ask to see me as well. I can't get away with it, just so you know.
I'd say this, Superintendent, I would invite myself, I would speak for myself as well as Commanding Officer Rangel, that we would love an invitation to come to that school to talk with that student body. It's when they're meeting with the principal, we would love to talk further with them around these concerns. I'll take as much time as I need to take to assure young people about safety and security in schools. And I'm sure the principal would echo the sentiments that it takes an entire school community to keep a school safe.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for the advice.
Yes, thank you. And we're lucky that you joined us this evening, both you and Shamina. I just ran to let you know the moment to speak. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say about what I was speaking about earlier. Like, let's say I'm gonna give you guys a scenario. So imagine you're a parent of a student that goes to one of the schools, and you know how dangerous places can be and how dangerous schools can be. And let's say you've been in one situation, and now you're really afraid, and you know that there's only one security guard or there's not live cameras in that school that's going to keep your child safe, and you're just really worried about what's going to happen to your child or your children.
And you can't feel comfortable sending your child to school if you know they're not in a safe place.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I've only met your principal for like 5 seconds, and I want to assume that PS20 is a safe school, right? I want to assume that that's a safe school. And
I'm just saying.
I hear you, Michael. I hear you, and I see you all ready for Christmas in the background. I love it, Michael. I want to assume your school is a safe school, Michael, and I know that we can do say-ifs all night, right? I can give you a million say-ifs, but I want to talk about the facts, right? Michael, do you feel safe in your school?
I don't know.
Remember, your principal's listening.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, Michael, here's my question. I'll ask you a better question. If something ever happened in your school, is there an adult that you feel comfortable talking to?
Yes.
Is there more than one adult that you feel comfortable talking to?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so do you know the name of the security agent that's at the front desk?
Miss Tina, I think.
Miss Tina, you think?
It's
so
Miss
tomorrow,
Tanya.
It's what? What's her name?
It's Miss Tanya.
Miss Tanya.
Oh,
Okay.
I was off.
You were close. Yeah, you were close, but people respond when you say the right name. So we're hoping that you got the right name now, Michael. Now, the reason why I asked you that question is, right, when you say a unsafe school, I know that PS20 is not an unsafe school.
No,
right?
I'm not saying it's not an unsafe school.
Okay, that was my question. You feel safe in your school. You were a little hesitant. I know you feel safe in your school, right? Because your school is one of the schools that breed young people like you. Young people who advocate on behalf of the other students and advocate, whether you know it or not, for the rest of the elementary schools that have one single agent in the building. And Michael, just know that that is our task, to continue to fight the good fight to ensure safety. And I want every young person to be able to say, without any level of uncertainty, I feel absolutely safe in my school. I feel safe because the school safety agent is a constant present in my building. The adults in my school ensure that my emotional safety is in place as well. If I'm having a bad day, there's somebody who I can talk to. If I hear a student making a bad gesture to do harm, there are adults that I can go to who are going to respond really quickly. And that includes my school safety agent. So PS20, while it is a safe school, I hear you loud and clear, Michael, that you want to make sure it remains a safe place by giving you additional tools to ensure safety in your building. And that is your extra school safety agent. That is your camera system. That is your assessment of your school doors. And that is for you to be sure that you know your school does have school door alarms, as your principal just stated, and continue to exercise your voice and advocate for young people. Okay, Michael?
Michael, that was a great job. Shamina, a great job. I'm going to just move the meeting along because I also see that we have one of our city council members, Vicky Paladino's representative here with her hand raised. Ali, you want to speak?
Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for holding this. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, yes.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Rampersand, for being on this meeting and for giving such great news about the prototypes. This is something that Councilmember Palladino, I know has spoken with you before about this, and this is something that she's really an advocate for. Like Joe said, the parents within our district and District 19, whether it be District 25 schools or 26 schools, all the parents through PTA events that we've held and meetings with principals, everybody's top priority is school safety. We don't have anyone opposed to locking doors. Everybody thinks a buzzer system would be a great idea. We have more and more principals requesting capital funding to install cameras in stairways, in hallways, and outside of the buildings. School safety and safety agents are really important because we're seeing a lot of middle schools and high schools that have a lot of overcrowding with maybe one or two safety agents, and that's a real major concern for us, representing District 19. So we are working to have another meeting where we engage both District 25 and District 26 parents and school communities and community education councils, superintendents, teachers, anybody who would like to join. We are going to have our local police precincts as well, and we really would love for Mr. Rampersant to be there, and anyone else in government that could, facilitate and help us facilitate a community event where we can, just bring our ideas together and talk more about school safety and just making sure that, we have our most precious possessions in these schools, and we just want to make sure they're safe. And as a parent of 3 daughters, that's what I think about every day when I send them off to school. And it's a crazy thing to think about, but it's true. Every day when I let them go, even if I'm annoyed at them in the morning, I always think, something could happen. And you just want to have a sense of security when you send your kids to school. And I know everybody's working really hard towards that, but I know we could do better as well. And I know that, the council member feels the same way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ali, yes, I could vouch for this community. Although we are fortunate that we are a safe community, the parents in this community will speak up and they will come in droves to, for the safety of their children. So that's what I deal with. I know, Mark, it doesn't seem like our district is one of high concern, but the parents in this community are definitely outspoken. And I'm telling you, they've told me many times, lock the doors. So they're not gonna understand short staffing of security officers. They're not gonna understand the ring system. They're gonna say, well, how much does it cost? We'll raise the money. We'll ask our elected officials for that. That's why I asked those questions. But, thank you for your, willingness to relay the message to Central.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I stand with the parents, right? No parent wants to hear a concern about our shortcomings, right? When we have a shortage of a teacher in the school, no parent's interested in that. We send our we send our children to get an education, right? And how you fix the problem is your problem, right? My job is to tell you what the problem is that needs to be fixed. So I am 100% with you. I understand clearly that for any parent who stands in front of me, having to talk to a parent about the city's shortcomings, that's not a good feeling, right? I'm a parent. I could care less. I send my child to school. I want to be safe. I pay my taxes. I want to be safe as they walk up and down the streets. Absolutely. I don't want to hear a parent say the minute I drop my child off, I'm praying that they're okay when I pick them up, right? That's one of our fundamental responsibilities in the school, is to ensure that we send your kid home the same way we got them, except just a little bit smarter, right? And it takes the collective work of our school community to make that come to fruition. And that can't be absent parent volunteers in schools, right? This administration is intentional about having parent volunteers in schools. We need all the help that we could get. We cannot rely solely on school safety to keep our schools safe, right? I appreciate school safety agents, and I know that you guys love them in District 25. And as you shared, for any district that doesn't want them, we'll bus them over to 25, right? You guys will provide the buses, right? As simple as that. But the situation here is, this is what Commanding Officer Rangel has now, right? I can't and won't speak for him, right? Because I am constantly fighting with him around this collaboration of ensuring that every one of our schools are safe. Him and I sit in this space together, right? But I know some of the things that the school community doesn't know, nor should they know, because our shortcomings are not their problem. They're our problems. And we have to figure out a way to get through them. So I appreciate you sharing the community sentiments in that respect.
Thank you. And your presence here this evening speaks volumes. So we thank you for being here this evening. Officer Rangel, I'm not sure if you want to have some closing comments before we move on. Because I don't see any other hands raised on this. Okay, Officer, are you here? Rangel? Do you have any closing comments? Go ahead.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with Mark and everything. We do work in partnership to try to make sure everyone is safe, and we are working our hardest to make sure that we take care of every one of the children in every one of our schools. We're trying not to neglect anyone and leave anyone out the picture. And again, we're all part of this conversation, right? We're all teammates together, raising these kids, making sure they're safe. I will drop my email in the message forum there, so that everyone has my email as well as my office number for administrators and CEC members to have that number in case there's any concerns that they don't get any answers to in the field.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Officer Rangel. So I think, I'm glad that you're here. This is something the community needs to work together. We agree, we're a community. The issue is bigger than just in the schools. We see that. But I think we need to understand it's not a simple lock the door situation. So, at least, the message is clear there. We hope that, we are always proactive in our student safety. And let's hope that we never have to have a real situation like that school that, the incident at PS 28, correct? But that's something that all parents are concerned about. So, thank you everyone for joining in this conversation. And thank you to Michael and Shamina, your comments, and Mohammed speak volumes as well. Thank you. So what I want to do now is I want to move forward because we pretty much have a busy agenda and the time just keeps passing. We are just that the community knows we're having our town hall with our chancellor. It's scheduled and confirmed for Tuesday, January 3rd. It will be at PS 499. We're asking that you register. Our website has the registration requirements, and we are looking for the questions and concerns by the community. We're asking that you submit your questions by, I believe it's the 15th, so we don't have much time. And then we will bring up the discussion with our chancellor. So please register if you'd like to attend. It's going to be hybrid. You could attend in person at 499, or you can register and attend remotely. But we are, as a CEC, are more interested in the topics of discussions and the questions. So that is going to, our preparation for the town hall meeting will be discussed during our business meeting. We also have requests for capital improvements with SCA. And I just want, I know that we have a representative from SCA coming to our February meeting, but we have to submit as a council our request prior to the middle of January. So I just want Carly to make a call out to facilities, because I'm looking at a lot of these requests for capital improvements, and I see that they might be facility issues. And Mr. Rampasad, I'm not sure if you're still here or not, but there seems to be a call in our district regarding the custodial staff, because my understanding is that the custodial staff there's not one custodian for every school. Schools are sharing custodians. A lot of the custodians are retiring, and the schools are not in the condition that they really were in pre-pandemic. And a lot of these requests, I think, are more facility issues than SCA issues, but we can talk about that. The council members have in their folders. I'm not sure if it's going to be shown on the screen, the request from SCA. But before we get into that discussion, maybe it might be easier for us to take the public speaking time. I know we have somebody here.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, OFNS, we need the community's help. Currently in District 25, in our kitchens, we're very short of men, and we just don't have enough applicants who are applying. The procedure has changed from over the years. They no longer call my office. What they do is call a phone number, and give out the phone number. It's 718-707-4400, and that's Monday to Friday. And with the job in the kitchen, it's Monday to Friday, and it's part-time employment with full benefits, medical and prescription coverage, dental and vision, sick days, paid holidays. We have a great retirement plan and free staff meals. So when they apply, they call a phone number, and all of the interviews are currently conducted in Long Island City, which is Vernon Boulevard. And based on the neighborhoods that they live in, we match those neighborhoods to, to where they work. And if the district isn't available, then they're offered a neighboring district. So please, if the word can come out, we actually have a lot of posters circulated around the district with the phone number in order to apply for our kitchens. And we also welcome women, but currently we have a long waiting list for women, and we're in dire need of men. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowena. Is there anybody in the who's here remotely that would like to speak? I see Council Member Vicky Palladino. I see you. Yeah, I'm going to give you the floor next. Welcome. Thank you for being here also.
Will CA be able to speak about the new proposed high school and college curriculum?
I'll talk about that next. Let's just do the public comments, and then we'll get into.
Venus.
Yep. Let's start with Vicky Palladino because she's our council member. She's on the top.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Hi,
Nice
Danielle.
to see you.
How's everybody?
We're all
I'm
well.
sorry.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm so late. Just craziness. That's it. No other reason other than that. I'm sorry I missed Mike. And I heard a little bit about what was going on because my chief is on, Allie. So she just was texting me a little background. I did hop on when you was talking about the SCA. I'm in total agreement with you. I'm happy to hear the chancellor is going to grant you a meeting, a public hearing, a town hall, which is fantastic. Can you fill me in if you don't mind? I don't want you to drive everybody crazy, but a little bit about what was said, and we'll go into other. We'll take it from there, Joe. I'm sorry, Danielle and Joe.
We had most of our meeting. We started with school safety. We had Mr. Rampersad here and Officer Ringel talking about the safety agents and the concern in our district. We had some students speak about not feeling safe in the schools. Mm-hmm. We spoke about the need to lock the doors. I know that we're not part of the pilot program. It's one in each borough, but I just raised the concerns of the community regarding school safety, and your representative spoke. Ali spoke very well also.
Yeah, well, as you know, it's been a top priority for us in my office, and we've been working together. We're really concerned about getting cameras at the front doors and keeping the remainder of the doors locked. We also are working on we have legislation in right now so that we can get one-way doors where you push and they open, but nobody could open from the outside. As far as school safety goes, we got school safety officers, but there's a huge shortage with that. We really want cameras right now. If I could get immediate relief for my schools, that immediate relief, the same thing with the police precinct, the 109. I know I'm not going to get a police precinct built overnight, but if they could give me 50 more cops over there, that would help. So the same thing applies with the school systems, with the schools. If we could just get cameras on the front of our buildings, with a buzzer, with a little camera. I mean, everybody's got a ring doorbell on their homes. I compare it to that. Like, what's the issue? Why can't we get that? So it's up to the.
Mr. Rampersad had commented that it's in the works. It's just that they need to, every school is different and it's on the agenda, but we just don't know what the timeline is or the cost, right? So we don't know how long it's gonna take. I know it's on the priority, but we still don't have an answer as to when is it gonna happen, especially in our district.
Right, exactly. And I have to say that I funded Marie Curie $250,000 to put towards their cameras, and they're going to get the balance of that money from me going into 24. I did it for 20, this fiscal year.
25. So the members in our community, District 25, they're concerned about their schools, right? So they're going to want to hear what's going to happen in our schools.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, there's no other issue bigger. When I hosted that PTA meeting last Wednesday, I had PTAs coming in from 25, and I had PTAs coming in from 26. And I'm going to tell you, when we spoke, the biggest concern for these parents was school safety. So we have it. It's going, we have to get them to hop on board with us. And also school construction was huge. And I'm working very, very closely with 31 and with 41 and with 79. And they're doing tons and tons of building extensions, buildings fully funded and not finished yet from 2017. A lot of frustration out there. And I'm all over School Construction Authority. And if you have anybody on this meeting representing School Construction Authority, they know that, because my office has been in touch with them at a very steady pace since I took office. So I want you to know that this is huge. Construction to our schools.
We understand, and we look forward to working with you. We hope that we see results, right? We'll have SCA come to our February meeting.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
January. Yes. Okay. So I don't know if you heard it, but I just want to make sure that we have somebody from school facilities that also comes to our meeting, because there's a concern about the cleanliness of our schools, the custodial staff, and a lot of these requests that I'm seeing from the schools for capital improvements seem to be issues that involve facilities and not school construction. So, I mean, that'll be interesting for our meeting in February, and we can talk about it before then also.
Well, I heard you say, Joe, and you're right about there's a shortage with custodians. There's schools that share one custodian. That is an issue. And it's something that needs to be discussed and talked about. But most important of all, we've done so much talking. I certainly have in the last 11 months. And I have to say, it's time for action now. I mean, there's got to be reasons for it, and there needs to be answers to my questions, our questions. We need answers now. And then after we get answers, we need action. So, that's it. And all right, go ahead.
Palladino, we look forward to working with you. Absolutely.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well. You know that.
It was a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, dear. Okay, have a good evening, everybody. I'm going to sign off. Okay.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
so there's some discussion in the chat regarding, so we're big in this community on getting bigger schools, getting more school space. We represent the elementary and the middle schools. I know that there is SCA has a project regarding a new high school in College Point. It's placing 659 seats in the old St. Agnes School. I know there is a community board meeting scheduled for next week. I've been invited to speak as president of CEC by the community board, and the superintendent was also invited. But I think the community board needs to understand, we as a CEC represent elementary and middle schools, and we'll try to get in touch with CCHS, which is Citywide Council for High Schools. And I've also asked if we can get the superintendent of the high schools to be present at that community board meeting, because, I, for one, am all for new schools in our district, and I just want to make sure that the representation regarding the high schools is accurately represented at the community board meeting. So look out for that. You can join. I'm told that the first meeting is on the 13th, I believe it's next Tuesday at 7 o'clock at Community Board 7. So I will ask Carly if you can reach out to CCHS and to the superintendent of high schools to also attend that meeting. I'll be there. But I think we need to get support from the high school level. So now, are there any other speakers on the list?
Yes. You have to CCRB.
Who is that?
I'm sorry, did you say CCRB?
Yes.
That's me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marwa. I'm from the Civilian Complaint Review Board. For anyone who does not know, the CCRB is a city government agency that investigates police misconduct. So my super brief announcement is just about our Youth Advisory Council. We are now taking applications for our 2023 Youth Advisory Council. And, anyone who's maybe never heard of the YAC, it's pretty much a group, it's a council for young New Yorkers who are committed to criminal justice issues and improving police community relations. And the YAC works with the CCRB by, they counsel us on and find ways to bring young New Yorkers into the narrative of civilian oversight of the NYPD. So this program is open to young New Yorkers between the ages of 10 to 18. And it's a great experience, and it meets monthly. So I'll share the link in the chat right now for anyone who is interested, or if you know anybody that's interested and you want to share it with them. That's pretty much my announcement. Thank you all so much, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening.
And thank you for joining us, and thank you for your announcement. I see, are there any other raised hands?
Venus.
Venus, I don't see you here in person, but I see you on the screen.
I missed you. It was so funny. My son said we didn't go to the meeting today. He had his first basketball game at Jamaica High School, so I didn't want to drive all the way out there. I have a little raspy voice. Good evening, everyone. I didn't have anything to say, but then I remembered that I did. I wanted to shout out an extraordinary experience I had attending SLT meeting at PS 154, my old elementary school. Isn't that so exciting? I get connected with schools throughout Queens from parents and past students that I've had or camp kids that I have. So I actually got connected with PS 165 because I used to work at the Pominock baseball field during the summer for Police Athletic League. I used to run the Play Streets program there for a year or two. So one of my camp kids shared a concern about 165, not about 165, but her children attended there. So right before the pandemic, I was able to attend a PTA meeting at 165 in person. And then now, 2022, I have another family friend whose daughter and another family friend, her cousin, her aunt, whose children attend PS 154. So that's how I got excited about attending their PTA and SLT meetings, as well as PS 201, because I wanted to compare the success of all the nearby schools, as well as 200. Anyway, so I was able to attend and go into my old elementary school building. I used to live directly across the street from the school, and I went there from kindergarten to 6th grade, and then I went to Parsons Junior High School 168, now QSI. But it was so exciting to be back in the building, and what an extraordinary principal that school has. And also it was a proud moment for me just to see the growth of society, where that school now has a Black principal, which is so amazing to me, being a Black girl that went to that school, and sometimes the only Black girl in many of my classes, especially when I got into G&T in the upper grade. To see a Black principal was a very proud moment, and she is the sweetest woman, Miss Gathers Bullard. I'm not sure, but she had a jam-packed SLT meeting where she went over her Acadian data and discussed phonemic awareness and how the second graders were doing and the kindergarten kindergarten students were doing. And it was just a very nostalgic experience. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that tonight, as well as I was able to attend the PTA meeting of 165 on Zoom. I was excited about that with Principal Tiffany Neely Davis. So I'm excited to stay connected with schools in that area because that's where I grew up and that's where I know people. Thank you. How did I do on time?
You
And I
did
miss so
great.
much
Thank
being
you.
in
Always a
person.
pleasure to see you. Happy holidays, and thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you. You hear my raspy voice. Happy holidays.
I feel better, yes. Are there any
Thank
other
you.
public speakers that would like to comment? Okay, I know Michael and Shamina, you did a great job this evening. I know your hands raised. I'll allow you another 60
Hi.
seconds to comment. Go ahead, Shamina.
Okay, thank you. I didn't really have anything to say that much. I just want to thank you guys for inviting me and Michael to this meeting, and it was such an honor to talk with you guys. And I I appreciate how much affection you guys put into this meeting to listen to and answer to our concerns. Yeah,
You
that's it.
guys are
Thank you.
awesome. You guys are awesome, and thank you for joining us. And you
Definitely.
said very good things, and I'm sure your message was heard. Thank you for being here this evening as well. We are
Thank
very
you.
proud to have you in our district.
Come here. All right. Bye. I have to
Good
go.
night, yes. Are there any other speakers that would like to comment before we move on with our agenda? Okay, so we're doing well with time here. So we have, for those of you who may or may not know, the CEC gives recommendations on capital improvements of what the needs of our schools are, and that's issued to School Construction Authority. Many times, we get responses from school construction and they say, look, these are not capital improvements. These are issues that you can resolve with facilities, your custodian, right? So we've had a call and I thank the district office for assisting in having the schools fill out this SCA request forms for improvements, and they've been coming in, and I'm glad that the schools are very proactive at that. But now is the time for us as a council to look over these, and we really need to come up with a number of, I think we're limited to 5, right? Is it 5? We do 5 requests that we give to the SCA, and then we hope that they will entertain them. So I've been through this before, and I've had situations where I sat on this council where none of the requests were entertained because school construction said, look, these are not capital improvement issues. These are issues that you can go through with facilities and resolve. So just want the council members to understand that. And that's why I've asked Carly when the School Construction Authority representative comes to our meeting, which won't be till February, that we have somebody from facilities come on. Now, this is gonna be after we submit our request because they just won't tell us that we have an extension on it and they'll honor it. So I think we as a council need to submit our request and then we can go through our concerns when the SCA representative comes. And I think it's Ben Goodman who's coming from SCA, correct, Carly? And then if we get somebody from school facilities, then we can go through these lists that we have from the schools and try to get most of them resolved on our own, right? Not to kill time. But I'm not sure, Carly, are you able to get the improvements on the screen for those members that are not here? Because it's just Wendy and I.
Try again. You see it in the
If we're not able to get the improvements in, then I'm gonna ask that the council members agree to holding a special meeting to get it done, because we really need to get it done before, I believe the deadline is January 13th, right? You got it, okay.
somewhat.
So, are the council members ready to discuss this now? Wendy, you are?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the superintendent who's here who knows a lot more about the schools than we do, so we'll start with some guidance from our superintendent.
So I think just a few questions to ask. I don't think SCA pays for cameras. So that's.
They told us in the past that they do not pay for cameras. That is something we need to ask our elected officials for. But now from the discussion that we've had with Mr. Ramphasad, it looks like it's something like in the works. Like in the past, they said air conditioning was something that all schools were gonna get into classrooms, right?
Yeah, and then I'll just say to everyone, so we know the first is to look for things that are part of the physical plant that are challenging. So I know that 107 is asking for a boiler conversion. I think before you select that, Carly, you might want to ask SCA if they're on a list for the boiler conversion. If not, that might be something.
107?
Yeah, 107.
Because it might be something that they've already have on their agenda.
Yeah, that they might be
In other words, so there might be something saying, we already approved this, why put it on your request form? Can you hear me over there? Can the other members hear me?
Yeah, and then you're welcome to further call any of the schools that put some things here. Like I see 129 is talking about a new roof in the gym. And so we know that roofs are usually a priority if there's leaking in the building. And then we also, I know that they're talking about masonry issues for water penetrating the school buildings. So you might want to include those first. And then the other piece is to then, prioritize if you're looking at things such as, I see some schools are asking for bathroom renovations. Some schools are asking for air conditioning in their auditoriums. That's another question for SCA, because I do know that, and for many of you who have ever been at 169 at Bell Academy, they really can't run any activities in their auditorium as soon as it gets warm because it's pretty hot there. So to look at everything together, but I just wanted, especially for our newer members, to know that SCA really does look at a lot of physical plans, things that need to be done for the building to function.
That is very true and correct. I think the other concern is safety. If there are any safety issues, that we need to prioritize them. I've gone through these lists with the schools. There are a lot of requests to have air conditioners in the auditorium. I think that it is something we really need to bring up with the SCA representative, because since the pandemic, a lot of schools are holding classes in the auditorium, and there are a lot of after-school activities that are taking place in the auditorium. So that, I see that as a problem, right? So I see that as a primary concern, but I just don't want to have a response from SCA that it's not in the priority list and we're not going to even entertain it, right? Because they did tell us in the past, every school is going to get air conditioning in the classrooms, but it didn't seem like auditoriums, cafeterias, or common spaces were of any priority. And I don't know if we're gonna just waste our time putting it on the list without some clarification. But I can ask Mr. Goodman myself, and then we'll see what his response is.
Can you forward these lists to facilities and SCA ahead of time before? And they told us
We can try, Carly. So Carly's saying in the past, we forwarded the request from all the schools to facilities and school construction, and we've gotten some feedback from them. I don't know if they're gonna be as cooperative this year. I've asked for an extension because we have our town hall, and we're not gonna have a representative from SCA speak to the council until February, which is after the deadline. And they told me, look, I am not going to guarantee that if I give you the extension, that they're even gonna be entertained. So if I were you, I'd submit the request in before the deadline. But maybe we could ask Mr. Goodman about some of the concerns, or send it. Yeah, Carly, I would suggest that. But I think if we're here now, we can start getting a heads up on what the the top 5 items are at least. And then maybe we can call a special meeting before we give the actual list, because we don't really have much time. And it's a great thing that we have the town hall next month, but it's gonna take away from one of our meetings. So do you have any concerns, Wendy? Did you look at the list? I'll start with you, that you're first in. That's fine.
I looked at the requests prior to coming in tonight. So I am writing down the 5 that I think are most concerning to me.
What are your 5?
154, which is the 154 is the exterior masonry and I guess roof repair. 180 and then 184, the waterproofing.
Basement?
Yeah.
We need to find out if 107 with the boiler is already on the list, right?
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Sure, that's on your list, right?
Yeah.
If it's not, is that on your list?
I'm assuming that's on your list.
Yes,
Wendy, so
107.
we're just going council member by
I
council.
know.
Yeah, 107, 154, 184. 169 with the air conditioning home.
We got a new one today. Carly, is it up there? Is it on the screen?
That's the one I just said, it was the last one.
What's the, yeah,
And
that's,
185 with the air conditioning in the auditorium.
You want this one, the email one?
yeah,
That's the security camera. PS20.
oh, yeah.
That's first.
So PS20 was one of the requests for a security camera. It's not, we have it, okay. So again, I don't know if they're going to entertain, we'll get the heads up on that. So has any other member looked at the list, and then does anybody have any opinion other than what Wendy just told us?
I would say really 184. That stood out to me.
Eden.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
Sorry, my voice is like kind of in and out, but 184 a lot.
The waterproofing issue, correct?
It was let me go back to it. Hold on.
The flooded basement.
Yeah, the basement. Thank you.
129 is also on the list, on my list too. 6. The gym roof repair.
Eden, did you have any other comments? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. So,
No, that was it right now. I'm still scrolling through them a little bit more.
okay, take your time, Eden. So I know Principal Cassidy's here. I think she wanted to comment something about the improvements to our school. I'll give you the floor, Principal Cassidy. Can you unmute yourself? Is she unmuted?
No, I'll be happy to talk about it. So after speaking to the custodian, well, we've been having problems for many, many years. Our doors in the old building are over 80 years old and some of them are warped. So as many times as we have tried fixing the locks, they don't lock properly. And that's a true safety concern, especially during these times. So I've asked whether the locks can be replaced, which seemed to be a better solution for someone who doesn't know anything about custodial repair. And it was explained to me, since the doors are warped, the only way to fix it is to replace the old doors.
I haven't seen your request, but I'm told it was submitted, I think, recently. So I think we need to circulate that.
Yeah, about a week ago, I would say.
Are these exterior doors? These doors that go outside, they go to?
No, the classroom doors, Joe.
The classroom doors, okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned, because of the children inside and the staff inside.
Right.
That
How
we
many
can't,
doors are we talking
yeah.
about? How many doors is it?
We're talking about 3 floors of doors.
Okay.
A lot of doors.
And custodial facilities has looked at it? I mean, it's not something that they could fix, is it? They say we need new doors?
It's been going on for 12 years. I have doors that will not lock as many times as they're fixed.
Fine, okay. I mean, I see that as a safety issue. That's like something that's important. But thank you for your comments there. Are there any
Thanks,
other, thank you, Deborah, nice to see you. Are there any other principals here that would like to comment, make a comment to the council members about the concerns of their school that would like to speak? So I saw, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Who's that?
Just going back to mine, it's Eden. Going back to mine also, 154 with the masonry issues, I think is also a priority that I would say.
That's 154, correct?
Yeah, so 184 and 154 are the two that stand out a lot to me.
Okay.
Joe, if I may.
Go ahead, Sana.
Yeah, thank you. So I definitely had 184 on my list. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I think along the same lines, PS 193, they said that they had bathroom plumbing issues that they needed upgrades with, that it was out of date and it leaks a lot. And it's several of the bathrooms, so boys and girls. And then there's a gender neutral bathroom as well that has the same issue. And then they had staff bathrooms, and that's basically causing unsanitary conditions. So I wonder if that could be one that would be appropriate for SEA.
So that's something that we really need to find out if it's a facilities issue, that it could be corrected, be something that could be fixed, or is it something that requires like some type of capital improvement where they would have to, I'm assuming, rearrange, or, it's a big project. And so that's something we should look into. I agree with you, because that is important.
Because they say the bathrooms are all original.
Yeah.
Right. They say the bathrooms are all original to the building. To me, that sounds like that it's a very outdated, perhaps, plumbing system.
So this is something that's going to come up with a lot of our schools because we have a lot of old buildings. But I think we need to speak to SCA to see if they'll even entertain that, right? Because not to be rude, but they do what, it's just a recommendation that we give, and they don't have to follow it. So I just don't want to waste our space, but I agree with what you're saying. I wish we could deal with all these schools and get SCA to correct the problem, but unfortunately they won't do that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Our funds are very limited, their funds are limited. So I just would like to stress when we submit the recommendation, the urgency and the safety issue and, the concern there.
And
I was looking at one, I think it's the, I don't know where I saw it. I think it was one of the pre-K centers. Is that 214? I was looking at the playground. I know playgrounds are difficult with SCA, but it looks like a real safety issue to me. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was the one I was just going to ask you about, actually, 214 as well.
So I think it's 214. Is it 409 or 214? It's the one that had the pictures.
That's the pre-K center. That's the pre-K center.
That's 409, correct? So 409 is asking that the playground be improved, and I know that with the pre-K centers, they use the playground, the playgrounds a lot. And I'm looking at their photos. It looks like, I don't know what it is, brickwork or masonry work.
This is also the leased site, so I'm gonna ask.
So it's a leased site, right?
Who's responsible to fix that?
So we need to look into that. That's why, like I said, I don't want to. I want all these concerns addressed by the schools, and that's why I don't want to limit it just to SCA. I want facilities to come as well, because again, one entity is going to say it's not us, it's the other. So we're just wasting our time. But that seems to be like also to me a safety concern because you have kids playing outside and it doesn't look looks like me like a big hazard. But maybe we could find out.
Joe, did you mean PS 209? Is it
I'm
209?
looking at the one, I see, the one I'm looking at the list here is 409.
Is it 409? Okay.
409 is the pre-K center in Whitestone.
April's the policy. Is April here?
April's
Yes,
here,
hi,
yeah.
I'm on. How are you?
Hi, April.
Who's responsible for that? Do we know? Is the church responsible for that?
I'm not sure if you heard April, the superintendent.
Yes, hi, I'm on.
Responsible for that?
Who's
So I believe
It's the retaining wall.
that I am not sure. I know custodial did come and fix the padding though. So that was done through our custodian had put a work order in for that. So that was fixed by them. The padding has come off a few times though.
Yeah, I'll speak to Mr. Leroy tomorrow to see who's responsible for that retaining wall, because it's a leased site. So we'll see, I'll get back to the CEC on that.
Okay. So I'm not, we're like scrounging around here. I'm just wondering if it's something that we can have some meetings with, or maybe we have time even, because we have basically a month to submit these requests. Do you think we'll be able to do some type of walkthrough with Mr. Leroy to see if it's a facilities issue or if it's SCA? I just want to give the right recommendation to SCA rather than just rejecting it.
So I think first to ask about the cameras.
We're going to ask about the cameras and the ACs
Carly,
to
that's you,
construction,
right?
Mr. Goodman, because he's open
For
to.
all of the ones that say cameras and pieces? Okay.
Yeah, so see if they'll do that. And then I will ask about,
The bathrooms, I think that might be a facilities question or not, I don't know, bathroom upgrades.
I'll ask about bathrooms and, AC and the, and the 409, who's responsible to fix that wall?
And the 107, if they're on the list of the.
And 107
right?
for the-
That's for
the board,
right?
that's-
Yeah, that's SCA too.
SCA, okay.
So if we get some answers to these questions, then we know that whether or not, we can put these on the list. The playgrounds are tough, I mean, I see the need, I see 209 is asking for upgrades to the playground, 214, 163. So I know our elected officials have given grant money to 163 with regard to upgrading the playground. That was before the pandemic, but the prices went up. So I would ask that principal maybe to speak to Assemblywoman Brozek to see if we can get more money to improve that. I don't think SCA is gonna jump in and fill in the gaps, but I wouldn't want, that school to lose any of their funds because of the pandemic and, money being assigned, and then they need more money to do the project, right? But a lot of these school requests also deal with the playground, and I mean, from my experience, I don't think SCA is going to entertain it. But we can try, we can ask again. I think SCA is concerned more about the conditions of the buildings, the roof, the boiler, and safety issues. So I think we should try to limit it to that, but let's try to find out what they get back to us on regarding the questions we have. Is everyone okay with that? And that we just come back at another time, or do you want to get this resolved today?
I will also say, I believe 379 is facilities. I'll check.
So 379 had a concern, I think it was about the, something with the hand drying in the.
So, hi, I'm on, Renee Klager.
Hi,
Hi,
nice to see you.
So yes, our student government was concerned about behavior in the bathroom and the excessive use of paper towels. And so they did recommend that we try to get electric hand dryers in the bathroom to reduce the use of paper towels, save our environment, and, reduce what kids are using in the bathroom. It would require electrical work.
Renee, I'll see if that's facilities also, because facilities has a certain amount of funding that they could use that would include electrical work, but so I'll check with Bill tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
So Renee, I remember I did a walkthrough of your school a couple of years back, and there was a condition with the flooring. Was that resolved in the basement? Is it?
Yeah.
So yes, they have been cementing the flooring where it is. It doesn't look great, but it's been resolved in that
Well, that's good to hear.
to fix it.
Was that SCA or was it facilities?
No, my custodian has been putting cement down where tiles have been coming up. It doesn't look nice, but it at least takes care of the floor.
Okay, perfect.
I
So
think 194 is here, Stephanie.
is the principal of 194 here?
19 from 194.
Yes, good evening. I'm the assistant principal.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. What's your concern at your school?
So we have two, but I think the one that's most linked to safety is that our PA system is very much out of date. In order to access and make announcements, there's only the one control room that was built, I guess, originally with the school. And so in case of an emergency, whoever's in the main office sort of has to sail over the counter to get into that room to be able to access the PA. So we would love the opportunity for an upgrade to be able to make announcements via the telephone system. That's one.
Okay.
And the second was a gymnasium refresh. As a result of the pandemic, for 2 years in a row, we either used the gym for classroom space, and then last school year, we used it as a cafeteria space as well, which our floors were already outdated, and this caused additional damage to the floors. So those are the two most prescient projects that we're looking to fund.
Okay. So we will take that into consideration and we will see what we can do about that as well.
Thank you so much.
We try, as I said, we want to get the issues at least addressed by either facilities or SCA. Are there any other principals that I see Principal Specchia, you're here. Do you have anything to say about your school? I think I read something about your school. Do you want to comment on that? She here?
I'm here. Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I'm good. How are you, Joe?
Good.
Yes, we have a similar situation going on. We've been using our gym. It's more of a multi-purpose room. We don't have an auditorium. So basically our gym is our everything room. And for the past couple of years, we have used it for classroom usage as well as lunchroom usage. So we're in the same predicament where the floors could really use some upgrading.
Are the floor, what's wrong with the floors now? Is it, they're broken tile? What's the situation there?
Some of the tiling is coming, some of the wood floors is coming up. Some of it has been repaired. And there's also a little bit of water damage.
So is this something that we could do a walkthrough with Mr.? Okay, so we'll look into that, Principal Specchia, and we'll see what we can do about that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. And then I see Principal Teresa Mashar, you're here. I think I read your request for 185. Similar to the concerns of other schools, the air conditioning in the auditorium. And the camera systems, correct?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. Yes, same thing. We've been asking for our auditorium air conditioning for a long time now. Again, it's a multi-purpose. We also use it as a classroom. So when the weather gets warm, we need to move that class out of there. And it's basically a lot of shifting around. So for us, it is a classroom and it's also a multi-purpose area. So that's one of the reasons why we asked for the air conditioning in there. And then we also asked for some beautification and some other things as well. The camera system is very restricted when they come in and they ask us where would they like the cameras. They only give us a certain amount. And we have a lot of other places that we'd like to see cameras up and running. Thank you.
Do you have cameras already installed at your school?
We have cameras already installed at our school, but we have a lot of places that are dead air.
Was it SCA who installed the cameras? You know?
Oh boy, it's been a long time.
Let us know, because I mean, we're gonna push for it, and the same thing with the ACs in the auditorium. We're gonna present it in my questioning to Mr. Goodman is, these are not just auditoriums for entertainment purposes, these are like real classrooms, right? So, you know, we wanna make sure that, they are treated like classrooms, and hopefully we can get them to install the AC systems in there.
Yeah, just for example, at lunchtime, we have 500 kids in our cafeteria. So once the kids are fed, and we like to give them an opportunity to be in multiple places, you know, the air condition does help. So that's 3 periods a day. And then the other 5 periods a day, basically it's a classroom.
Okay.
So there are children in there all day.
Yeah. I just one quick question. I don't understand the issue with reconfiguring the space behind the auditorium. What's back there? I've been back there.
Right now, we have some little tables out there, and we wanted to make it sort of like an outdoor classroom for our children.
Is that outdoors or indoors?
It's outside. It's outside. It's in a gated area. It's a nice piece of land that's not being used. And I like to use every piece of land that I can.
Okay.
I'll ask about that.
We'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other principals here that would like to speak up on behalf of their school? I don't want to exclude anybody.
So can I just go over what I'm asking about?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go over what I'm asking about.
So,
With facilities, right?
facilities, so I'm going over, bathrooms at 193 to see if that's facilities or, for the pre-K center, who's responsible to fix the wall? 379 at the hand dryers facilities. Gym floor for 130. 185, that section of lands. And then PS 24, we want to just double check that the doors are
Yes,
at SCA.
doors,
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
What about 193 with the plumbing issues there?
That's bathrooms, I have 193.
Okay.
So is there anything else for me in front of
Missing anything else?
And then Carly, you're gonna ask about cameras, air conditioners,
And the 107.
and if that's on the list, right?
What's our deadline?
Oh, you know what else?
January 13th.
January 13th, right?
Yeah, I also maybe wanna ask about PS 21. I know they were talking about broken seating updating. I wanna see if that's facilities too.
Yes, exactly. I thought I saw something from IS 25 also. Is that?
That's on there.
Yes, I will ask about IS
What is it
25,
that
but
they're
IS,
looking for? I don't
they want,
understand what it is.
they want an entire new auditorium. Yeah, I mean, they have one of the largest
That's shared,
auditoriums
everything.
and it's,
Share.
yeah, it's shared and it's like the doors that close off the part that can be used as 2 separate classrooms are broken. I'll call and just double check, but I'll also ask facilities about that.
So let's see if it's a facilities or a CFO.
Yeah, I'll ask. Okay.
Perfect.
So listen, council members, I think it would be prudent for us to come back before January 13th and, you know, after we get some of these questions answered, so we can give a realistic list to SCA. Does anyone have any opposition to arranging for a special meeting to do that? Because now we have the holidays coming up, we have the town hall, January 3rd, and then we have to do this list to SCA by January 13th. Does anyone have any problem coming in after the town hall? We're gonna have to call for a special meeting, which has to be a public meeting because we have to vote on these concerns to put on the list, so it has to be public. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, it's a good idea.
Okay, do we wanna put something on the calendar now regarding the special meeting, or What day of the week is the 13th?
It's a Friday,
So,
the week after.
it's Friday the 13th,
The
so
week after the meeting.
does anybody have any objection of meeting maybe Thursday, the 12th, the day before the deadline? So we have plenty of time to get these answers, is that okay? Or do you prefer Wednesday?
I could do Wednesday 11th or Thursday the 12th.
So Wendy says she could do the Wednesday, the 11th, or Thursday, the 12th. What are the other council members' thoughts?
Thursday is easier for me. Wednesday is harder.
Wednesday is actually easier for me, but I could try to match Thursday.
So what we'll do is.
Yeah, I mean, Thursdays are a little easier for me.
Thursday's easier for you, Eden?
Yeah, but I could work it out.
Okay. Sana, what are your thoughts?
I could be available either day.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll have Carly send an email to the council members of either Thursday or Friday. I'm sorry, Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll see which one we get the most on, and we'll try, and if you can't show up because of scheduling issues, then let me know, and then we can, as long as we have a quorum present, we can try to address your concerns. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I thought I saw Anne Marie log.
Is Anne Marie here?
She came in.
I'm here now.
Hi, Anne Marie, how you feeling?
I'm so sorry. I fell asleep.
Oh, it's okay, don't worry, Anne Marie. Well, we can touch base. We're just talking about the capital improvements and calling a special meeting.
I came in midway.
It's okay. So Carly will communicate with you, and then Rashmi's not here, and to see what date works better to have a special meeting so we can do these capital improvement recommendations to SCA. We're looking at either Thursday, January 12th, or Wednesday, January 11th. Is that okay, Emery?
That's either one is fine.
Okay, perfect. I know the security guard came in and we are running, it's 9:20. So why don't we table this capital improvement to our next special meeting? And with your permission, I'd like to adjourn the calendar meeting and jump right into the business meeting regarding the town hall discussion. So my report, I'm sorry, the superintendent's report, I'm so sorry, Superintendent Domingo. We are going to do the superintendent's report before we adjourn. My apologies.
I'll do it in 2 seconds. Louis, can you put it up really quickly?
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
No worries. So.
I fell asleep.
I know. Good evening, everyone. I do not want to forget to wish everyone an amazing winter break. We are very excited to spend time. I know that myself and my team, as well as our schools and our building leaders and staff, are very excited to take this opportunity for a nice long break with their families to rest and rejuvenate for 2023. So we're very excited for that. So I just want to make sure I wished everyone a warm and lovely winter break. Enrollment updates. Kindergarten application is open until January 20th. You can also apply for G&T programs on the same application. Carly, is there a way you can move that? No worries, thank you. If your child was born in 2018 and lives in New York City, they are eligible to attend kindergarten in fall of 2023. Elementary admission info sessions. All New York City families with children born in 2018, 19, and 20 are invited to join a central virtual information session covering 3K, pre-K, kindergarten, and gifted and talented admissions. After the presentation, there will be time for Q&A. During each online event, we'll work with you through each of the elementary admissions processes. We'll cover how to learn about schools and programs and their priorities using the online directory at My Schools Events. The dates are as follows that are listed there, and if you would like any more information, you can log into the DOE website at schools.nyc.gov. I just want to take a moment to celebrate our schools. Both myself and Dr. D'Antona have been visiting schools over the past few weeks, and we are just so proud of the work that's happening with our building leaders, our students and staff, and I wanted to highlight this. So we're so proud to see our students participating in their school government debates and elections. As a district, we encourage leadership and celebrate our students' efforts to create positive changes within their school communities. As you see, many of our students were running alongside the November elections, and many elected officials visited our schools to support our students through those elections. We're really excited about the middle school basketball league that we started this year, and I think Mr. Abbott is here, Bell Academy is doing very well. Ms. Bashar, I don't know what's going on over there. So we are really excited to have our middle school basketball league up and running again, and so are our students as well. Soapbox speeches, as we talked about civics for all last year, I don't know if you remembered, and I'd like to thank Melinda Willen, she's on here tonight. All of our middle and elementary schools are participating in civics for all to some level, but many of our schools are doing Project Soapbox speeches, and they have been happening over the past few weeks, and our students are really activists for both their local community, our state, our country, and the world around them, and we're really excited to see them. I just spoke to Mr. Di Benedetto tonight, and one of the things that we are looking to do is have some of our amazing soapbox speeches and students being presented at our CEC meetings starting February. They're just doing some really fabulous work, and we're very proud of that.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm also really proud of the work that our students are doing for holiday donations and an act of kindness. Students across the district are collecting donations for families in need this holiday season, and learn the importance of generosity, kindness, and the act of giving. So that's PS 22. As you see that, PS 193, just amazing give backs to our community. I'm also, I have to say, I spent a day last week with the students at PS 79 and their OWL initiative. It is project-based learning, where they too are looking to give back to their community. They are currently running a readathon that is linked to both their and the district's literacy initiative. And students have raised thousands and thousands of dollars for the students at St. Mary's Hospital. And as you can see there, they're speaking to staff members and connecting with them because as they donate the money, they're writing plans. St. Mary's Hospital is talking about their needs and exactly how they're spending their money. So we're just super proud of them. They're also working for the children that are hospitalized at St. Mary's and making puzzles with their makerspace. So really great job, PS 79. We're very proud of you. I'm also really pleased to present that Senator Liu visited Junior High School 185, and Ms. Bashar is on here tonight. Last year, we presented our focus on AAPI curriculum. We currently have a Google Drive that hosts all of our resources, but Ms. Bashar and her staff are also working with central offices around the centralized AAPI curriculum. And so last week we visited with them and the students, and they're doing and engaging in some really great and thoughtful work. So congratulations, Junior High School 185. PSMS 200 engaged in their Leader of the Month activity, where they are recognizing students for their strong leadership. So congratulations to all of the leaders at PSMS 200. Right? Isn't that cute? PS 242, Parents as Learning Partners. Every first Monday of the month, parents are invited to join in classroom activities where staff, parents, and students look forward to this each and every month. So one of the things that we want to talk about is, although we are still maintaining all of the safety measures to make sure that that we are staying healthy, but we are back, and our schools have become really amazing learning spaces again, where There is a lot happening both inside and outside the classroom, and we're really proud of this work. And finally, we want to thank Council Member Palladino. We are also having a District 25 Middle School Debate League. It is sponsored by Councilmember Vicky Palladino and New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams. And for those who are not part of their districts, the American Debate League has agreed to fund all of our other middle schools. So we will be running a district-wide debate challenge, and we're very excited to be continued. I will announce when that will occur sometime in the spring. But the American Debate League will be training all of our students in the debate world, and we're very excited to have that happening as well. And Ms. Willens from the district office, who is also running our Civics for All program, will be the key point person in our district.
And that's my report.
Oh yes, also, one last thing. I am so excited and pleased to welcome Mohammed to our CEC. You are an amazing leader. We truly enjoyed interviewing you. So welcome, and we are looking forward to continuing to work with you for the remainder of the year.
So yes, Mohammed, I'm gonna carry further on that because you come from one of the high schools in our district that not a lot of families understand that Flushing High School is a phenomenal school, and you are a true, inspiration to me as a council member of what you've done for your school and what you represent, and we look forward to working with you, and I hope that you're happy to be here. So thank you for being here, and congratulations to Flushing High School. Okay, so at this time, thank you, Superintendent. I want to wish everyone who is here and everyone else a happy holidays. Again, we're going to adjourn the meeting and move on to our business meeting. We urge you to register for our town hall on January 3rd, and please submit your questions because that's the time that we come together as a community with our chancellor, and it's very important that you do that. And if we have consensus, we're going to move on into our business meeting. Is that okay, everyone?
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we are adjourning our calendar meeting. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for Mr. Rampersad, Officer Rangel, Superintendent. We will now start the business meeting with the roll call.
Joseph Benedetto.
Present.
Wayne Yu.
Present.
Anne-Marie Knable.
Present.
Joseph Chow.
Present.
Sung Young Lee.
Present.
Rushing is absent. Michelle Frederick is absent. Sana Tayeb.
Present.
And Ida Rubenstein.
Present.
And Mohammed Mooney. Okay.
Okay, so thank you. And Anne-Marie, I want to clarify because I know you contacted me and you did not fall asleep for our meeting. You fell asleep prior to our meeting, and that's why you came on late, correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
All right. So I know it was a long meeting, but it's something that the community really needs to hear about about safety, right? Because it's an ongoing meeting. And I hope we make some progress, but it's just the tip of the iceberg, right? So we need to continue to move forward on that and beyond school safety. But I really want to talk about the town hall because this morning I did a walkthrough with the chancellor's office, face the district office, and we went through PS 499. They have a wonderful auditorium that seats about 300 people. I'm told by Learning Times we already have 55 people that registered for the town hall, but 20 of them or 22 of them are coming on remotely, and the other 30 are coming in person. So I'd like to really push for that. I think Carly Juliana told me she was going to send you. There were 4 questions that were already submitted from the community. I haven't seen them. Learning Times got them, but we were supposed to get them. Juliana is not here, but Carly will follow up about the questions. I was told that we have to submit our topics for discussion or our questions to the chancellor before December 15th. So, because I believe that the chancellor wants to have his staff come to the town hall to address the questions. So I think we need to get ourselves ready.
She could read the questions aloud.
Okay, Juliana, you're here?
I don't know if she's-
Are you here, Juliana? Okay, so here you are.
Am I unmuted?
No, now we hear you now, Juliana. How are you? Thank you for joining
I'm
us.
great. You're very welcome. So there are 6 questions asked by 4 parents. When you want them, Joe, I can read them.
Yeah, what, can you read them? I mean, I'm assuming we'll get a copy of them, but maybe you can read them now so we can, discuss at least the topics, right?
Yes. Okay. So the first question is, when I asked my 6-year-old what he would like to say to the boss of all the schools, he said he would like to ask, can there be an upgrade to the school? Following that line of thinking, I would like to ask, what are some ideas that you look forward to implementing in our schools? Are there any major citywide improvements to the curriculum? So that's 1 and 2, upgrade and curriculum.
Okay.
Number 3, I'd like to see real efforts to use resources in nearby colleges to help support our overworked teachers who often have more kids than ideal. For example, we are on Queens College campus, and there should be more synergy and support for more collaboration of resources. There used to be student teachers, but no longer. We used to have classes for our kids in tennis. No longer. There is a huge field that's unused yet not available to our school.
Okay. So
Okay. 4 is.
I'm assuming class size also? No?
Respond to that question.
You want to respond now? Maybe it's just we're preparing for it. You want to talk?
What school was that from? Do we know?
No, that's from 499, and that's really specifically regarding the MOU. So
It might be 219 though.
No, they're talking about tennis and promises of the gym. So I'll speak. I'll speak with the principal around communicating with Queens College around that.
Are these questions,
And then
speakers of these questions, Julian, because I haven't seen them, do they say which school they come from? Or
yes, Joe, I sent you a report that shows. I will send it to every council member. I had trouble remotely accessing.
I don't
but
see
I sent it to you. It was late.
I'm sorry.
Yes, but late, Joe.
Oh, I see it now. Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
Question 4 is, I would like to know how the school curriculum will be updated to target boys in particular and their learning styles. Another curriculum question. And then question 5
Can you go back to that question? I'm sorry. Is it curriculum targeting boys, males, you say?
Boys, yeah.
Okay.
Question 5 pertains to specialized high schools in Queens. It says Queens High School for the Sciences at York College needs their own building. The school occupies 1 floor and does not have their own gym, real lunchroom, or auditorium. York College wants their space back, and we have found a spot 2 blocks away that would be perfect for our school to move. Having their own space would allow the school to grow and for Queens to finally have a specialized high school in the borough. A lot of Queens students leave the borough to attend Bronx Science, Stuyvesant, or Brooklyn Tech. I didn't do that. I wanted my child to attend a school in Queens, and we would love for our community to expand. A lot of great things are happening there.
Okay, so that school at York is a specialized high school, but I think that the question is to have a larger school, correct?
No, does Queens have a specialized high school? I don't think so.
Yeah, I believe there's a school in York College that is specialized, it's part of the York College campus.
Yes, yes, it is. It's one of the 3 high schools created by Joe Klein. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
It
it's-
is.
But I don't think that's specialized.
Do you know if that's
You have to take
specialized,
the
Joe?
Shazat to get in it, Joe?
It is. You have to take the test. It's
Oh.
Stuyvesant, Bronx, Brooklyn Tech, Lehman College, City College, and York College.
Okay. All right, so these are there any other questions, Juliana? I see 5, I got 5. Is there one more?
Where's one more?
Okay.
Number 6 is from the same parent. Why isn't grammar being taught in our public schools? I want you to be the first chancellor, parentheses, when I first became a public school parent in 2013, to say, yes, we need grammar. I've been to former town halls. I'll never forget when someone asked about grammar and spelling and why it isn't taught in class. Farina said the kids will learn it when they read. They don't, and I'll tell you firsthand, they don't. When I was helping my son prep for the specialized high school exam during the summer of 2021, I saw how behind he was. This is a kid that has always been above his reading grade level. Grammar does not happen by osmosis. It's a huge disservice if kids do not know grammar. Please think about how to incorporate this into daily lessons beginning in elementary.
Okay. And that's the last question, correct?
Well, they teach grammar. They teach grammar in ESL classes. They don't teach it in English classes because the English teachers don't know grammar. They're Americans. In general.
No, Joe.
In general.
No.
So, listen, we need to, I know that the council members may have their own questions that they want to ask the chancellor. Let's start with, these are questions that come from the community, so I really would want to address these questions also, but we need to break them up and put them into categories, and we really need to figure out between now and next week what we're going to ask the chancellor. But let's just start with logistically. So I need to know, or at least 499 needs to know who's coming in person, because we need to set up the table on the stage with the chancellor. So if someone's not going to be there in person, I wouldn't want to have a vacant seat up on the stage, because we're going to be in the auditorium. I'd rather have the table, if we're going to be 8 members present, than 8 seats, but I don't want to have empty seats. So, I mean, can you tell me who's going to, can I get, who's willing to show up in person? Let's start there. I'm going to raise my hand, Wendy's raising her hand, and Mohammed is coming. So the 3 of us that are here in person will be the Joe Chow. Carly, you taking the numbers, right? So we got Joe Chow's coming in person. Sana, can you come in person?
Unfortunately, I found out that I'm not going to be able to make it. I won't even be in New York on that day. I'll be in Toronto for my mom's surgery. So I will be remote.
Because we can't control, we don't dictate to the chancellor when the meeting is going to be held. I think it's tough because right after the holiday, the first day back to school, if you can't be there, you can't be there. I mean, it's fine. I mean, just want to make sure I appreciate that. Yeah. So we won't be seeing you either remotely or in person.
I will be there. I will likely be there remotely if I can be, if that's the option.
Fine. So if you have any questions or concerns that you want to address to the chancellor, let us know, right?
Yes.
Let's just go through the list now and then we'll get back to you. Shirley, are you able to show up in person?
That will be January 13th, right?
No, January 3rd. It's
3rd, I'm sorry. Yes. I'll be in person, yes.
So Shirley's coming. Eden? Are you there, Eden? We'll come back to Eden. Is Anne-Marie there? Anne-Marie there?
I'm here.
So are you able to come in person on the 3rd or remotely or neither?
I'm not sure at this point because the 3rd is tight because of holiday commitments.
Okay. Can you let us know before the 13th, before next week, if you're gonna come, because I just wanna get the setup of the auditorium there, right? So if you let me know, call in if you can make it. I just wanna know who's coming in person, right? And then if you can make it remotely, you let us know. Who am I missing? Eden,
Michelle and Washington.
and then Michelle and Rushman, right? Michelle, are you there?
No.
Eden? Okay, so far I have how many council members? 4. Myself, Wendy,
4.
Shirley, Joe, and Mohammed. 5. Plus the superintendent is 6, plus the chancellor is 7. So I told them 12. So I really need to know, like by next week, who's coming, right? Because I don't want to have an empty seat on the stage, right? So Carly, just take note that Eden's gonna let us know. Amory will get back to us, and Rashmi and Michelle have to let us know.
Okay.
If they don't let us know by next week, then I'm gonna assume they're not gonna be there.
Okay.
Okay? The other question now, so we know who's coming and who's not. The Learning Times is gonna provide for access for those who are coming on remotely. You're not going to be able to speak if you want to speak. But they're going to be taking questions from the community and then going to write them on cards and give them to somebody who's present at the town hall. So what I need to do now is the people that are coming in person, the 4, or how many are we? 4? 5. We need to figure out who is going to take the questions, who is going to ask the questions, because we need the chancellor's asking that someone on behalf of the council ask the questions. So I, as the president, will probably do an opening statement introducing the chancellor to who the CEC members are, what our roles and functions, our focus points are. I'll talk about the school, I'll talk about our community, I'll introduce our superintendent, I'll introduce our student member, and then I'll talk about the CEC members. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to ask the questions or go through the questions because I'm gonna be on. So I'm asking of those that are coming, who can take the questions and organize them, and then who can answer them. In the past, we've had a couple of members take the questions, organize them into categories, and then we had other members ask the questions to the chancellor. Are there any volunteers of who's coming in person?
I'm confused.
So what's gonna happen, we're all gonna be on the stage.
So you want one of us to ask all the questions?
Well, no, we can have 1 or 2, all of you ask the question. We need to organize who's asking the question and when. And we need someone to organize the questions that are coming in live, because there are going to be people that are coming on and they're going to in the auditorium or remotely through Learning Times, they're gonna submit up questions.
They've never.
Nobody on this council has had a town hall, so this is gonna be interesting here. It's new to all of us, except Amber.
Yeah, you take them and you sort of organize it in buckets by topics.
Okay.
And then you guys flip through and decide like how you're gonna ask them.
So what's gonna happen, the chancellor's gonna entertain about 8 questions, because we only have 1 hour. And I was told he wants to jump right into it, so he'll say, look, whatever questions are submitted by the community, we will answer all of your questions, but tonight, as part of this town hall, you need, as a council, prioritize your questions and give me the questions, and I'll have somebody from my staff or myself will answer them. But we don't wanna have 20 questions of the same topic, safety, we wanna.
So for example, from what Julianne just read, 3 of those questions are about curriculum.
Yeah.
So we wanna
you would bucket
that into
and
one
then-
pile and
then-
probably ask 1 question about, take the top question on.
And another topics might be safety.
randomly chosen or?
So
Other topics might be overcrowding.
So the chancellor wants to know what the topics are by next week.
Okay.
So at least we got these 6 questions, whatever the council members think are concerns, like I'll tell you right now, today's discussion, safety, right?
No, mine's Monday.
Yours is funding, we'll talk about that. We may have high school enrollment, you may have some. So let's bucket these now, and then we're gonna have to figure out at the town hall, if there are other questions that come in, we need to put them in the buckets, and then maybe the person asking the question will prioritize the most important question or the one.
Right, so what he'll do is, so if safety is, you know, one of the buckets, he'll have either Mr. Rampersand or somebody from his team there. If curriculum is in a bucket, he'll have somebody from curriculum there. If
Budget.
funding is a budget, you know, he'll get somebody from there too. And
Safety will
right,
come
if enrollment is a concern, he'll have somebody from, like, he likes
How
to
many
kind of.
topics?
So he generally will take, you think in 1 hour, you're not gonna have more than 8 questions, it might be even less, because it depends on the time, right? So they wanna make it more beneficial, that's what they're saying, you're better off not taking the questions from the community directly and having them come up, have them submit their questions to the council, and somebody at the table will be bucketing them, and then we'll prioritize and ask the questions. So that's what I'm saying, we need some work to happen before that or
Okay.
at that, right? I don't know what that question is.
Is that Joe?
Sounds like a Joe question.
So is anybody, of the members that are coming, is there anybody willing to ask the questions to the superintendent? And again, so Mohammed, you're kind of special, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna put a little bit of focus on you as a student representative, right? So I would want you to let us know by next Thursday or Friday, what's your concern as a student in the community, or what, you know, what you heard about the kids that came tonight, right? So I'll give you the opportunity to ask the student question. So that's one question right there. I don't know, you know, Wendy, are you willing to ask the question to the superintendent, or Mr. Chow, or Shirley? You know, we need someone to ask the questions, and we need someone to go through the questions.
I'll ask the question.
Okay, anybody else want to volunteer? I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but tell me, I want to volunteer, I don't want to volunteer, I want to be, you know. Mr. Chow?
I'm afraid
Is he-
when he speaks.
Well, Mr. Chow, is he here? So,
So I
okay,
don't know if I want it.
right, okay. So Shirley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you willing to go through the bucket list of questions or ask a question? I don't, you know, I just want to try to organize this, that we're not like fumbling and don't have anything to ask, or we're still going through the questions. So it's easier if we have 1 or 2 council members go through the questions and then pass them on to ask the questions to either Wendy, myself, yourself, or whoever, you know, to ask. I don't want to run the whole meeting. We're a council, we're a team, so I'd rather work as a team, right?
So, you mean the first thing you said was going through the question, meaning I have to read out the questions one by one, or?
Well, it would be gathering the questions, bucketing them in a topic, and then pulling from that topic, from that bucket, the most important question or something that you feel is like the most pressing, right?
Mhm. Okay, so I'm in the bucket, I'm gonna pull out one questions and I'm gonna read it out.
You and Joe Chow, you know.
Are you okay, Mr. Chow, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, I had trouble unmuting. That's why I couldn't.
Okay.
All right, so
Are you
let's go.
okay with going through the questions with Shirley and then passing them on to Wendy?
Are you talking about the day of the chancellor's?
Yes, the day of.
Sure.
Yeah,
Why not?
I think if we do some practice, I think we'll be good.
So we're not gonna have time to practice, so we're gonna know between now and next Friday, when's the 15th, next Friday? Between now and next Friday, what the questions are, at least a lot of questions, we have 6 already, but you know, we have our own questions, so we can bucket them before we give it to the chancellor. But the evening of the town hall, there are gonna be people in the audience who are gonna raise their hands and write questions down, and they're gonna bring them up to us. So we really want to address those concerns as well. So if you're looking through the questions, you say, oh, this is a safety question, put it in this bucket. This is a question regarding curriculum, put it here. And then from that list, from that bucket, pull out the most important question that we would, like I would say 1 question per bucket, right? So if it's 1 question on funding, 1 question on curriculum, you'd have to pull that. But this is requiring going through the questions the night of.
Okay, good. It's just, so it's coming from the audiences still, right?
Correct. Yeah, so Shirley, you and Joe would have to, gather the questions. They'll bring them up to you. And
By the
then
way, you volunteered us.
I'm asking if you don't want to do it, I'm fine with it. I mean,
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Wendy volunteered to ask the question, right?
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. So, if you don't want to do it, it's fine. I mean, I just wanted to
No,
try
I'm
to
fine.
get it.
You don't
Yeah.
have
fine.
that many people coming in person, so we have to all do our part.
Well, I'm telling you, Faith's telling me we're gonna have about 100 people there, and the most important person is the chancellor, right? I don't want to give an impression where no one's even showing up, right? And the chancellor's gonna come and say, what kind of community is this, right? So we really want to make an impression on the chancellor. So I'd like to be a little bit organized. So it's, the last time we did a town hall was with the prior chancellor. No, it was with, no, it was.
No, it was Karan.
No, I did it, remember with the.
Oh, it was online with the.
It was online with, I forgot her name.
I have a quick questions.
With Misha.
Collecting the
With
questions
Misha
from the
Moore, yeah.
audience.
I'm
No,
sorry?
I just have, so we need to, I'm assuming that there will be about 100 audiences on the in front of us, and so we need to, and they will raise their hands, and how do we collect their
Okay,
questions?
so what's gonna happen is, we're gonna be on the stage. There's
Yes.
in the audience, and there's also learning time that are taking questions from the chat. They're gonna write it down on the card, face someone from the, or someone will bring up the questions to the stage. So you're not going to the stage, they're gonna bring you the questions. You just need to organize the questions and put them in the bucket so we know what to ask the chancellor. We may have the 8 questions by next Thursday and be limited to that, but we really want to give the chancellor all the questions. And if there's a more important question that you think is more important than the one that we already predetermined, then I'd rather you say, look, this is really important to bring this up, right?
Got it. So we'll try to not to collide the questions that we already have ourselves. Plus, we're gonna do some important questions from our audience and the community together,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I got it.
You got it? So I think, I always like to give the council preference, even Sana, you're not gonna be there, but if you have a topic that you'd like to discuss in a question, give it to us this week, so we can, at least talk about it and put it in the priority list. So again, we don't have much time, we have a week. So I hate to call you back for another meeting, but we need to get this organized before January 3rd. I don't want everybody to be uncomfortable. So
You have 4 already.
we only have 4.
You have 4 now.
We have 4 questions, yeah, but we have, and so like Wendy has a top, what's your topic, Wendy?
Funding.
What about funding?
Well, there's student funding, what's his idea, like, is he, our funds, how is he gonna determine where funds gonna be taken out of, a district and allocating to other districts?
So it's a question regarding allocating of funding in the budget, okay? So you need to formalize a question, and again, we represent the community, so I'll put your question on the priority list, right? Again, with the other members, but there might be other questions from the people at the town hall that are also about funding, so we'll put it on the same bucket as Wendy's question, but if something is worded a little bit differently, and if Shirley and Joe think this is more priority, we'll ask that question that evening. You understand?
Love it. Okay. I understood. Yes.
Sana, do you have any question that you wanted to ask? You have it now, or?
I don't have it now, but I know that I'll have something and I'll try to get it to you as soon as possible.
Okay. Are you guys okay communicating via email for that? Do we need to have a special meeting? I hate to call special, meeting, we don't have to.
Maybe we could have 30-minute quick special meeting before, just to go over our own questions a little bit.
Okay, so we need to do that before next Friday.
Juliana,
you have a comment? Juliana?
Sorry, I have to unmute manually. It's a little complicated. Sorry about that. What's
Did you have
that, Joe?
something you wanted to say? Yeah, no, do you have to say anything?
We were talking about meeting.
We're talking about the logistics of the town hall and who's asking the questions and how we're gathering the questions and, you know, the priorities and who's gonna ask the questions.
Right, that can be part of our prep meeting. Like that can be part of the meeting that we have. And I know there was a request to have that meeting in the evening. And so I can call a meeting in the evening.
Okay, so it's gonna have to happen next week, right?
Yeah.
It does not have to be a special meeting, correct? We can just do it.
It does not.
Okay, right, good. So then we'll, Juliana, you'll let us know. I just want to know, get a head count of who's showing up. So far, we only have 4 members showing up. I know I told them 11. Eden's got to get back to us who's coming. Michelle has to get back to us, Rushmi and Anne-Marie.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm available Monday night, the 12th.
Is everyone else available?
What time?
What time? Sorry, Mohammed.
It's up to you guys.
I could do 7.
It's gonna be virtual, so it'll be through Zoom or whatever it is, right? Can we do 7 p.m. on Monday?
Yes, no.
Joseph Chow, you okay with that?
Joe Chow, are you okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Monday as in the
Next
12th?
Monday. Yeah.
The 12th.
I
No.
should be okay.
It's
Monday
it's
is
my
in the
husband's
19th.
birthday, I think.
Oh,
It's okay.
What
But
about,
don't worry.
no, if you're gonna, listen, why don't we, can we have an alternate date if not Monday? Juliana,
Yeah.
what's the other date?
Oh, goodness.
Mr. President, I just want to let you know it's 10 p.m.
I know, I'm looking at it.
We're waiting
I'm
for
just trying to get answers. because I want to be-
You're already.
My
Okay.
brain cells are shutting down.
I
know.
They're crying for help.
Okay,
Well, I can email you. I can do Tuesday.
Yeah.
I can do Tuesday the 13th.
okay. So either Monday the 12th or Tuesday the 13th, you'll send an email, we'll see who wants to show up. I mean, again. So again, Juliana, my goal is to see who's coming to this meeting, right?
Yeah.
So far we have 4 yeses. Okay, and then we need to get the questions in, and then we need to figure out, so we'll do that on Monday, is that okay?
Yep.
Or Tuesday. Okay,
And I can talk to Learning Times about Learning Times being there. If you would like this to be your prep meeting with Learning Times, we can do that all the same night.
so it's gonna be a long meeting, because we're still looking at for the questions, right? And how are we gonna do this all on Monday? With Learning Time?
Okay, well,
Learning time, because we come back and it's then, so when are you gonna?
Because we do have to prep with Learning Times before the holiday, because it's the first day back, is what we do in the town hall. You wanna find out with Learning Times what's good with them? But they seem to be willing to cooperate, whatever we want. Juliana?
yes, Learning Times is willing to have it at another time.
Okay, so then can we take this up on Monday?
Yes.
It's 10 o'clock. I know it's late. This is why we run late meetings here. We can't get anything done, but this is a very important thing. I really want to make a good impression on our chancellor for our town hall. It's probably our most important calendar meeting of the year. So I just want to stress that. I want to be prepared. Okay? I'm not getting much reaction, but I guess we're all tired.
It's a little difficult to hear.
It's hard for you to hear me?
It's
I
a
can hear
little
you.
difficult.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting and we're going to wait to hear from Juliana, council members, about our prep for the town hall. And we'll talk about, and then Juliana, you let me know if Learning Times can be there. And then we really need to do the run of the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Carly, I would ask that we really send out, and superintendent, can you really stress to the community about registering for the town hall and asking the questions? Perfect, okay. Is that okay, guys?
Yes.
I feel like I'm losing everybody, so I think we need to end the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so the meeting will be adjourned. I'll see you guys next Monday or Tuesday, right? Thank you, guys.
Good night.
See
Good night.
you. Bye. Good
night,
night. Get
everyone.
up.
Good night.